Stimulating late-night sporting debate for long-distance lorry drivers,
14 for the copy.
young mums,
What time do you call this? Coming on?
and students who've taken too many of those caffeine tablets.
The two mics, Parry and Graham on Talk Sport.
Look at the light! You and your time obsession always kills off the programme.
Well, there's nothing to do with that. It's because you spent so much time slagging me off for my
Rubbish.
alleged bad habits.
The problem is, somebody will probably get very inebriated, and as soon as I produce my fist, they'll produce theirs, bang, break the jaw.
This is Talk Sport Extra Time, and I'm delighted to say it's time to say a very, very good morning to Mr. Mike Porky Parry. Very good morning to you, Mr. Parry.
Yeah, good morning, Mike. Good to be here. I have to say about John Carver.
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't do himself any favours by coming out with all these ridiculous cliches.
Gobbledygook.
You know, the one about leaving the room, as you
Yeah.
just said. You know, by the way, there is no locker room in Porky Tower, so
So
you
you
just
keep saying,
refrain
yeah.
from going on about that, please.
Yeah.
I mean, did he honestly expect one of his players to get up and then
Yeah.
say, "I'm sorry, John, but I haven't got it in me
Well,
to
he wouldn't
do
be
it"?
saying it. He'd be saying it in a French accent more than likely, wouldn't he? 'Cause
Yeah,
most
but
of them are all
exactly.
French, you know.
Oh, John, I do not
Pardon.
have...
Pardonnez-moi.
I do not have le bouteille to, that means the bottle,
There.
for le punch-up. You know, I cannot do it. And,
The punch-up.
Yeah.
Now you're starting to sound like a bit of an Egyptian.
Yeah,
But,
exactly.
you know,
but the other one about stepping up to the plate,
Yeah.
I wonder if he knows where that ever came from.
Probably not. No,
exactly.
Baseball term, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah.
I mean, I also what Ben said. What would have happened if they'd all got up and walked out?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
then you'd have
yeah.
no team to put out.
Yeah,
there.
it would have been a bit of a pity, wouldn't it? But I mean, just utterly ridiculous, and all this about the most important game for 6 years and all that. He says that as though it's nothing to do with him that they're in this position.
Yeah,
you know
right.
what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, it's almost like he's been parachuted into this crisis. To
Well, he
try
kind
and
of has. I mean,
say-
it's not necessarily
no,
all his
he
fault. is
created it, didn't he, by going 8 games and 8
Well,
defeats?
well, that's true. Yeah, but I mean, is that all his fault?
Well, when he took over, what were the odds of them getting relegated? Was it 350 to 1 or
certainly,
something?
certainly, I think maybe not
Yeah.
when he took over, but certainly not long before that, when Alan Pardew was still
No,
in
I
charge.
think when he took over, I think what Alan Pardew left was a mid-table team.
Yeah.
That's where they expected to be. And they were looking at 10th place.
Right.
They're now looking staring relegation in the face. And by the way, I totally agree with whoever it was who said such funny things can happen on the last day. Don't we all remember David Pleat dashing onto the pitch at Manchester City in his light suit and his white shoes or
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
celebrating Luton not going down because results went their way on
Yeah.
that day. Results...
Well, you wouldn't bet against Hull beating Manchester United, would you?
No, I wouldn't. No, I would say that's a 50-50 chance
Yeah.
of Hull winning. But
Right.
I mean, even when Blackburn Rovers won their league title, don't you remember? It only happened because Liverpool. What was it? They were playing Liverpool at Anfield, but lost. Right. But Manchester United couldn't get a second goal against West Ham, and a team they would normally have beaten.
Right.
And funny things do happen on the last day.
Well, that Manchester City when they won the title
Exactly,
the first time against
exactly.
Queen's
I mean,
Park Rangers,
that-
Jerry
that-
Barton
that-
got sent off about 4 times in a row.
It was all fairy tale stuff, wasn't
Yeah.
it? But anyway, look, we'll have to see how that goes. But it
What's
is,
your gut instinct? Because I often like to ask you
I
about
think
that.
my gut instinct is what everybody else is saying, that Newcastle will probably survive.
Just about.
But I've got a very
through.
open mind about it because I definitely think that Hull can beat Manchester United on the basis that they need it very, very badly. And are Manchester United now tainted by the behaviour of their manager at their end-of-season bash? And does that mean that we all think that the Manchester United team are now on the beach?
Well, it's possible, isn't it? And I mean, they can't
get third place now, can they?
Well, well, they can technically
yeah,
if they win 5-0
Exactly,
and
yeah.
Arsenal lose 3-0 to West Brom.
That's right, yeah, but it's not going to happen.
Which I mean, as crazy as the last day can be, I don't think it's going to be quite that crazy.
But they're secure in 4th place, aren't they?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
So now, why is it taking Liverpool so long to say, we're calling off all talks with Sterling?
Yeah.
That should have happened the minute that he gave that unauthorised BBC interview. It was obvious then that what he was doing was trying to lay the path for an exit from Liverpool.
Yes.
That was obvious.
Yeah.
And instead of which, they are now being humiliated, mocked, derided and belittled by Raheem Sterling's agent.
Yes.
The man
Well,
who's 36 years of age.
And the
of
only
old.
reason that they've now pulled the rug
Yes.
is because of this interview that he gave to the Evening Standard.
Exactly.
In which he was quite objectionable about Liverpool and quite
Jamie
objectionable
Carragher.
about Jamie Carragher
Yeah.
in particular, which seems to have been the catalyst for it all. He's now kind of saying, that he's going to sue the Evening Standard and he didn't say those things. He's now watered that down, I believe, to say he said it off the record. I mean, I don't think there's any doubt that those are his sentiments.
Well, it's the if you're a psychologist, you'd say, yeah, that sounds very much like other things he's been saying.
Yeah.
It's the general trend of his argument at the moment is to completely dismiss all Liverpool's attempts to keep Raheem Sterling.
But I agree with you. I think Liverpool are being humiliated. They're being made to look a laughing stock. Brendan Rodgers is being made to look like a guy who can't handle this kind of situation.
I think it's probably Ian Ayres who's the MD there, who should have really got a grip of it, and now has said we're calling off. Well, if you're calling off talks with Sterling's then presumably free to go, is he? They've now accepted that he's going to go.
Well, except he's got 2 years left on his contract, hasn't he?
Why didn't they accept that in the first? Yeah, but they can't let his contract run down because the more they run down his contract, the less valuable he becomes. And if he has a bad start to next season, he becomes even less valuable. I understand the negotiating ploy by keep repeating the mantra, he's not for sale, because then clubs come in and up their bid to try and get him.
Right.
That doesn't work anymore.
No.
It really doesn't work anymore. Once a player is talking like Raheem Sterling is, he's not going to put a Liverpool shirt on again next season.
I can't see him playing again for them at all. I don't think he'll play this weekend the way things are going.
Well, I don't know about that. I mean,
don't you think we'll get one of those, his head wasn't right conversations?
Could be. Or you might get a phantom...
let's not forget, the other thing is...
Could get a phantom injury.
Yeah, the other thing that's troubling, and it may not be troubling for Liverpool fans, is that they're currently in 5th place on 62 points, Tottenham on 61, Southampton on 60. They could end up losing this weekend against Stoke and coming 7th.
Is that right?
Yeah.
7th it would be, would it? Yeah, well, it could well be. It's been a very disappointing season for them. And I think that it's an opportunity for Liverpool to let Raheem Sterling go, who wasn't even their best player this season anyway, and use the up to 40 million quid to do other things with the team, to contribute to it, and hope that Sturridge comes back before October. October now, until Sturridge comes back. It's unbelievable. And try and get their act together, because there are two things happening at Liverpool. They're not performing A, on the pitch, but B, they seem to be having rings run around them by all sorts of people off the pitch.
It seems like it's all over the place.
By the opposition, by people who want to nick their best players, by the drifts and trends in the transfer market, by...
It's a bit reminiscent to me of how it was at Manchester United when David Moyes was there. Nobody seemed to know who was in charge of the clattering train.
I think there's a bit of that about it. Yeah, there's a bit of that about it. But the main problem, I think, for Liverpool is that the Liverpool fans demand a return as quickly as possible to Liverpool being one of the giants of Europe. And that's a slow process. It's not a quick process.
It is.
So Brendan Rodgers panics and buys all those players last summer who he thinks will elevate them back to being serious Premier League challengers and a stellar club in Europe. It hasn't worked, and that has put them much further back than they should be.
Now, you're being very serious for the moment, and I don't blame you for that, but is there any sadness in your eyes because this is the end of the Premier League season and the end of football as we know it for a while?
Not necessarily.
No?
I think people need a break in the summer, otherwise the intensity of the game can get to everybody. Really? And also the fans as well.
So what are you going to do? Because people often say, well, what are you going to watch if you haven't got football to watch? Well, you spend an awful lot of time watching football, don't you? So what are you going to do now?
Well, we all do. Well, you can do other things. My life is full of other things.
Well, like what?
But... What do you mean, what?
Well, what are you going to do?
What's it got to do with you?
Well, because I'm interested.
And you just shut your face and get on with your own life.
There's no need to be so rude.
And I'll get on with mine.
Well, because
so
I'm
you're
interested
prying and probing into how I spend my time.
Your time doing.
Well, I don't.
You might even take up a hobby or something.
You're being facetious.
I'm not being facetious.
You suggest I'm going to collect butterflies or
I
something?
don't know. Something to keep you busy.
Well, it's got nothing to do with you. What I would say is that there are some very dedicated fans in this country. For instance, there's an organisation called ESCLA, Everton Supporters Club, London Association.
Oh, yeah.
These guys... No, I'm not.
No. Why not?
Because I'm not. These guys go to every game.
Yeah.
So it's a great day for them if Everton are only playing at Villa. It only means 5 hours on the coach. But they go to all the home games.
Right.
That means 8 or 10 hours on the coach.
Right.
Every other weekend. They are fantastically dedicated.
Yeah.
And I think for those people alone, you've got to have a break in the summer. Otherwise, they would literally go loopy.
Well, I wonder what they'll be doing. Maybe they should tell us what they'll be doing.
Well, I
think
they'll
take
just
trips down to St Ives or something.
No. They have to spend a bit more time with the family. They take family on holiday. They recharge their batteries because they work as hard supporting Everton as the Everton players do playing for Everton. In my view, probably work harder.
Well, they probably do work harder.
Because
actually,
they've got a job during the week.
Given what Everton did this season.
They've got one job during the week, working 5 or 6 days during the week, and then they've got 2 days of travelling to watch Everton. They are dedicated. They are the absolute gold dust of our game.
Yeah. I've got a document I'm going to reveal to you shortly.
Have you a document?
About working, something that's been uncovered from your past.
Oh, really?
Which has been passed to me. We're going to be discussing
Right, well, I have no
up.
shame about my past and my working record. I've got an impeccable working record. Nobody's ever worked harder than me. Nobody.
Yeah, nobody has.
You hear me?
For such little return.
And you're and you're facetious and narrow-minded, probing into my life
time.
because you think that I'm some sort of an oddball. Is getting on my nerves. I'm telling you.
All right. Well, it may get on your nerves, but you have to look into light for the moment. It's Eurovision Song Contest quiz coming up a little bit later on. We are the Two Mics.
Everybody was kung fu
Remember this song, Kung Fu Fighting?
Yes.
One of the big hits of the 70s.
Oh, I remember it. I used to go to a disco down Watergate Street in Chester and really throw a few shapes to that one, you know what I mean?
Was that one of the ones you could get in the front of the queue?
Yeah,
past
exactly.
the velvet rope?
Yes, it was,
due
yeah.
to your extremely sort of high-quality job.
Well, the fact that I was a reporter on the local paper, the Chester Chronicle, total sale in those days, 23,000 a week.
Is that all?
Yeah.
Not very much, is it?
Well, that was the city edition, but we had a county edition which sold about 67,000.
Really?
It went out all around Cheshire,
It's
that's right.
small potatoes, really, isn't it?
No, gigantic paper. But anyway, look, now the reason we put that on is it must be reference to the fact that I was talking to you earlier about me taking up Hapkido.
Hapkido, yeah, this is a new martial art that you've discovered.
Yeah, but do you know why? Because,
why have you discovered this then?
Well, it's a martial art of the brain as well as the physicality.
Yeah, right.
Do you know what's listed in it? Now, I haven't taken it up yet, but I've got this booklet.
Well, this could be something you could do while the football's not on.
Well, I'm very, very seriously thinking of taking it up, and I'll tell you why. Because I've got the old booklet here, describes what it is. This takes place in a sort of sports hall near to where I live, down in Stockbroke Road, Surrey.
A sports hall?
Yes, and it says Hapkido is a complete system teaching kicks, punches, pressure point techniques, throws, joint locks, weapons, free fighting.
Weapons,
yeah. I'll tell you about the weapons in a minute.
You know those stars that they used to throw
No,
movies?
don't be ridiculous. Weapons, free fighting, Kai. You know what Kai is?
Kai, no.
The energy flow.
Is it?
Yeah, Kai, the energy flow, and meditation, okay? And you put all this together and you've got the complete defensive pattern.
Right.
Now,
so do you get belts in it, like judo and karate?
All of that, yeah. Now, if you get a high enough belt, that's when you're allowed to use a weapon. You're allowed to use it's like a half of a... What are you
I don't know what you're going to say.
Half of a
what?
policeman's truncheon. So no, what I mean is, it's
Which half?
Well,
the half with the handle or the half without the handle?
No, you idiot. The half without the handle, really. I've seen the stick, and you take a truncheon, saw it in half,
right?
And it's a
sawed-off truncheon.
It's a sort of thing, yeah. And what you do is you hit your opponent in one of the pressure points on their body.
Only you would want to do this kind of involve yourself in all this really great sort of Far Eastern meditation techniques, but you want to use it for violence. Why do you want to be violent about it?
No, I don't want to use it for violence. The point is, just to recap on what we're doing shortly, a week on Saturday, we're at the Guildhall Theatre in Portsmouth for the Two Mics live show. And welcome to everybody who's going to come and see us. For those who are thinking about it, please come along, get yourself a ticket. There's a few left. And I'm going down to Southsea tomorrow to promote it.
Okay.
Now, I'm going to be in Southsea, I'm going to be in and out a few pubs there, pressing the flesh with a few people and all that kind of stuff, with a few people from the theatre.
You won't be carrying half a truncheon at this point,
Well, this is the point, you see. I thought, these things can sometimes get out of hand. It's Friday night and all that.
Right.
So I thought I would just have a look at
maybe
a few...
you should go early on rather than later.
Well, maybe. I thought I'd have a look at a few defensive techniques which I might need in case, it gets a bit leery.
Are you saying that people come up to you on a regular basis and sort of confront you mean?
Well, they don't, but I often feel that I don't do enough in society to control situations which are getting out of hand. I tend to walk away from them, like most people, and I think
like the time you ran away from the rugby club mash-up that you didn't get involved in.
What? No, I never ran away from anything.
You said you ran away from that fight that was going on between the football club and the rugby club when you were at...
that was at the University of the Trents. Yeah, but that was because I didn't want to get a stained reputation for being a brawling, drunken lout.
But what about when you stepped in with Frank Leboeuf in the when the World Cup was on?
I had to sort that out. I had drunken louts in the restaurant, and me and Frank Leboeuf put their arms up their backs and threw them out the door into the street. Like
Frank
Leboeuf, like in a Wild West scene. But the great thing about Hapkido is it's, a lot of people don't actually like going to a gym and working out. You know what I mean? Because it's boring and all that kind of stuff and running. But Hapkido means that you're actually getting involved in something, and it's absolutely terrific.
But don't you have to be in sort of top physical condition to be able to do some of these things? I mean, if you have 1/3 of your heart that's working, I don't think it's a great idea, is
it? There's always been a problem. I mean, the fact that my life is controlled by the fact that only 1/3 of my heart works is something I just have to live with and cope with.
That's what I mean.
22 tablets a day. Don't always remember to take them sometimes, and that causes you a problem.
I think it was 27.
I was 22, and that can give you, diminished energy levels and all this kind of stuff. But I never moan about it. I don't like talking about it. I just get on with it. Now,
so do you have to get one of these white robes then with a belt that
it's not a white robe, it's a suit.
Well, it's a sort of, a white jacket and then...
It's a martial arts suit.
Yeah, a martial arts suit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a white jacket, right?
No, it's not a jacket, it's a wrap.
Yeah, well, it's a jacket.
No, it's a wrap. And
what's the difference between a wrap and a jacket? A wrap is something you make a sandwich with, isn't it?
No, don't be silly.
I used to do karate. I know a bit about this, you know.
Oh, no, you don't.
I did karate.
All right,
for a
well,
year.
if you did karate, go on, give me a chop to the neck and lay me out.
Zen Kutsudachi.
What?
Zen Kutsudachi.
Well, is that the chop to the neck?
No, that's one of the instructions that you get. And us.
And what's it mean?
The other one.
What does Zen Kutsudachi
Well, I
mean?
think it is actually a block. I can show you some blocks of karate.
I don't want any blocks.
But I only did it when I was first year at university.
Why?
Well,
Why?
I don't know why. I just felt like I should do karate.
Why didn't you do some studying or something?
Oh, I didn't do any of that.
No,
It was
exactly.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
No. I mean, but what happened was
Did you go and buy a suit?
Yeah, I did, yeah.
What a waste of money.
Well,
You-
actually,
you were on student grant at the time.
Yeah, I was,
Given
yeah.
to you by the government.
Yeah.
And you wasted it on a karate suit.
Well, no, I don't think the karate
What
suit
an
cost.
oaf.
I don't think it cost that much money.
What
I
an
mean,
oaf.
funnily enough, maybe I didn't buy one because I don't have one. So I don't
Yeah.
know if I did buy one. I don't know what I'd done with it.
Well, you must have given it away.
It may be that when I did it because I did it for like
You left it in that flat where you never washed a plate in a year.
Yeah, possibly, yeah. But yeah, the guy used to make us lie on the floor
Yes.
of the gym where we were practicing, and you'd have to you put your ankles together and raise your legs off the ground so that your stomach was kind of taut, and he would run basically jumping on everybody's stomach to make sure that your stomach was strong enough to do
What
karate.
a nutter, honestly.
Yeah.
You're pathetic. What I was going to
I
say
quite
is...
enjoyed it though, maybe I was quite fit for a while.
Yeah, you say that, but I don't believe it. But anyway, karate's just a purely brutal, violent thing, whereas Hapkido,
Hapkido.
that's how you pronounce it, and you bow to your opponent.
Yeah, that's
all
what
the
you do in
time.
karate, and you go us.
Yeah. Isn't the best example of that in that James Bond film with Roger Moore?
Yeah.
When the other guy's bowing and Roger Moore kicks him in the teeth.
Yeah,
as
that's
he
the
goes
kind of thing
down.
you would do, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it is. Yeah,
Because
definitely.
you have no respect for your opponent.
Seek an advantage.
Yeah.
But what you've missed, you see, in your karate bit is that Hapkido, I've told you, it's a combination of body and mind.
Yes.
Now, I said that the very last thing after the kai, Hapkido kai.
You sure that's not some kind of tea, that?
No, kai's
Kai.
energy. No,
Is
it's
it?
energy flow. It's,
Okay.
Hapkido kai. That's where the energy comes from. Kai.
Well, I've got a tweet here from Mark who says, does he mean chi? C-H-I. He says it's pronounced chi,
No.
not kai.
No, it's kai.
How are you
It's
spelling
kai.
it?
K-I, energy flow.
K-I?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm absolutely certain. It's
sure
in
it's
my
not
brochure.
chi?
No, it's in my Hapkido brochure.
Hapkido
Yeah,
brochure.
yeah. It says kai. And of course, meditation. Now, you can choose which method of meditation you most prefer.
Yeah.
And there's a list of them, right?
Okay.
And guess what
How many
I've...
different kinds are there?
Oh, up to 20.
Really?
Yeah. But guess what I've chosen?
What have you chosen?
Staring out across the ocean for 25 minutes at a time,
Yeah.
emptying the mind and thinking only of what lies below the sea.
Really?
Yeah.
So you can do that from your penthouse down in Gosport?
Well, I could if I want to do it from the balcony, but
Yeah.
there'd be too many distractions there.
Yeah.
What I do is I will go and stand in the sea, in the Solent, up to my knees,
Really?
so that I am at one with the ocean.
Is that
you see what I
wise?
mean? Yeah, of course it's wise. Yeah, it's
What
not
if
a
there's a
problem.
big wave comes in?
Oh, well, that'll only go up to my waist. There's not a huge
Well, where's the
tidal
nearest
drift
beach?
there.
Where can you do that then?
I can walk to it from
Is
my...
there a beach in Gosport?
Yeah, of course there is.
Because it's all a bit industrial there, isn't it?
No, don't be ridiculous.
And it's all like the boats and things. I mean, there's a lot of quays, but there's not many beaches.
Yeah, there are. There's loads of beaches.
Is there?
The whole of the Solent is a beach. So if I walk from where I live in Gosport to Leon Solent,
Right.
I can walk there along the beach.
Can you?
Oh, yeah. It's
Okay.
a very long beach.
Well, I mean,
If I-
take your phone with you and take
Yeah.
some pictures of yourself.
Yeah,
doing that.
if I go the other way and cross the harbour over to Portsmouth, I could go to Southsea,
Right.
where I'm going tomorrow anyway,
Oh, okay.
to visit a few pubs to promote our show a week on Saturday at the Guildhall Theatre.
Yeah, you mentioned that already.
Yes, I know, I mentioned
suppose
it
you're
again.
not just going to walk across the water,
No,
given
don't be
your
ridiculous.
great powers.
Don't be ridiculous, but I could go there, and there's loads of beaches there. And by the way, I'm not sure how clean the water is, because you can get right up close to the ocean liners coming in and
Well,
out.
that's what I mean. It's a
Yeah.
very industrial
Yeah.
kind of port type
Well,
scenario.
it's
not
a-
exactly an idyllic kind of,
it's a
quiet
busy-
and contemplative place, is
It's
it?
a busy working port, as
Plus,
you say.
I mean, it's not going to take
But the
you long-
water's very clear.
It's not
You
gonna
can see
take-
right through the water. You can see the fishes.
You can see the fishes.
Yeah,
really?
definitely, yeah.
Or even the fish.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
What sort of fish do you get down there?
Sleep with the fishes. You get like little tiddlers floating around not floating around, swimming around.
Sprats.
Yeah, sprats and that
Yeah.
kind of stuff, swimming around in shoals, Yeah. No, it's good.
So no, it's not going to take you long to empty your mind, is it? So what are you going to do with the rest of the time?
Hapkido.
Hey?
Hapkido.
Never mind Hapkido.
No, that's what you say. You're in the sea, and you kind of karate. No, you do. You karate bash the sea. Honestly,
Karate
Hapkido.
bash.
Hapkido. And you empty
Well, so
your
you have
mind.
to just keep you just have to keep projecting
What you
that
do
word.
is what you do when you meditate standing in the sea. You actually have to think: how far does sea go? Where does sea go?
Where does the sea go?
Yeah.
Where does the sea go?
Sea goes to This is part of the teachings.
Yeah, where does the sea go?
Sea goes to horizon.
Does it?
Yeah.
Is that what you think?
Sea go to horizon.
Yeah, it doesn't go to the horizon.
Sea go
It doesn't go to the horizon.
Sea go long. Sea go undersea. Yeah. Oh, yeah. All of that, yeah.
Well,
once you all that, yeah.
Once
and that empties your mind.
Yeah.
It does.
Well,
yeah.
don't come in here with an empty mind, because that would be a disaster.
Yeah, exactly.
This is Talk Sport, Extra Time. We are the two mics. Loads more coming up.
On digital radio and 1089 and 1053 AM. Talk Sport.
When I see you cry, it makes me smile. Yeah, it makes me smile. At worst, I feel bad for a while, but then I just smile.
That's quite a nice little song, isn't it, for this time of the morning?
What is it?
Smile, it's called. Who do you think that's by?
Smile, who's that
Yeah.
from?
Who do
Who's
you
that by?
You don't recognise it?
Well, hang on. Is it contemporary or
It's
is it...
contemporary, yeah.
Oh, well, I don't know any contemporary groups.
Lily Allen.
Lily Allen?
Yeah.
Oh, that's the daughter of Bill Allen.
Bill Allen?
What was his name?
I don't think it's Bill Allen, is it?
Hang on, what was his name? Tony Allen, was it?
Not Tony Allen.
He was supposed to be a famous comedian.
He was
although
a famous comedian,
I
yeah.
never heard him tell a joke,
Yeah.
did you?
Well, no, he was in quite a lot of
Ray
funny...
Allen? Was
no,
it Ray
wasn't
Allen?
Ray Allen. No,
Who
he
was
was a
it?
ventriloquist.
Who was it then?
It was Keith Allen.
Keith Allen, was it?
Yeah.
Okay, and he was a comedian.
He was. Well, he was in the sort of, that kind of stuff with the guys who did Five Go Mad in Dorset, did all that kind of stuff,
Really?
Yeah.
Sounds like a load of rubbish to me. But anyway, there you go.
Well, she's quite a good singer. Now, let me read you a couple of tweets here about the Chinese scenario.
Okay.
Andy in Burnley says, just to clarify, there's chai, which is Chinese, and ki, pronounced ki,
Well, there you go.
which is the Japanese equivalent.
There you
Just
go.
thought that should be pointed out.
Thank you.
And Jerry says, if Porky takes up Aikido, it could provide a new career for him in the movies. He could become the new Jackie Chan or Chuck Norris. I can imagine him practicing his chop suey moves on his roof garden, dressed in his pyjamas and a bandana, just like the Karate Kid.
I don't think so. And, why does everything revert to mockery on this programme? It's because old MG here, through his sheer inadequacy
Not
and
at
his
all.
lack of achievement in life, tries to belittle everything I do.
No, absolutely
That's
not true.
Now,
Not at all
I want
true.
you to tell me, please, considering you believe the fountain of all knowledge,
I
right?
don't believe that.
What is an emoji and why are people now becoming so stupid that instead of sending you words in a message to convey what they're trying to tell you, they simply don't bother. They send you stupid little round symbols
Well, have
of
you been
faces.
getting some of these?
Yeah, faces with different expressions on them. What's all that about?
Well, it depends on what sort of information device you've got, really. So when you've got your keyboard, right, where you normally would type out your messages, right, and your emails, right, you should also now have a keyboard which is all about emojis, and they can be anything from a smiley
I've got one,
face.
and I accidentally hit on it sometimes,
Oh,
but
did-
I don't know why it's there or what it is.
Well, if you look at it, right, so as I'm talking to you, right, try and imagine you're sending me a message, okay? And instead of actually sending me one, right, what you do is you tap on the thing to send a message, but then look for the keyboard that's got all the emojis on it. I mean, the one I'm looking at, it's got a pair of hands clapping, it's got a face with a mask on, it's got a Union Jack, you could have a cow, you could have an engagement ring, a pair of eyes, glass of wine. It's just another way of kind of explaining yourself in more graphic form, shall we say, so that you don't, instead of having to say... I don't know, if you said looking forward to seeing you or something like that, you can just put a little... I mean, I use quite a lot the one with the sunglasses, because obviously I'm known for wearing sunglasses at the live show, so quite often I'll
you do that because you have no self-confidence and you're actually quite ashamed to face the audience.
No, I do it actually because I don't particularly like having bright lights shone in my eyes.
Yeah, well, okay, but in that case, I'd go to see an optician because there's something wrong with your eyes. But
Nothing
I mean,
wrong with my eyes.
For instance, the 10 most popular symbols, because somebody sent me all this rubbish, and they think I should be now communicating with people like this. The first one is the smiley face. The second one is
But
crying.
there's about 50 different versions of a smiley face as well now.
Yeah, but I'm just trying to show you. Number 2, crying with laughter.
Yeah.
So it shows a smiley face with a guy rubbing his eyes.
Yeah.
Third one is a love heart. That's just a heart, like the sort of symbol you used to get on those love heart sweets.
Yeah, that's a nice one to send to somebody.
The fourth one is red-faced, i.e., I'm embarrassed.
Yeah, okay.
The fifth one is it's a thumbs up.
Thumbs up, yeah.
So instead of...
something's good then.
Yeah, but instead of me sending somebody like, supposing you and I suddenly got a collection of figures or something like that for a number of people who are listening to the show,
Yeah.
Seems to be quite a lot of them.
What do you mean if they were good?
Yeah.
Well, that would be
Yeah.
a good one to go. Look, that was a great result, and put a thumbs up.
No, but that's what I'm saying. I'd rather convey it in words and say, wow, what a terrific result,
Yeah, but you write ridiculously long text.
No, I don't.
You?
No, I
Yes, you
don't.
do.
They're
I mean,
rubbish.
in this
I
day
don't.
and age, in this day and age, people want short, sharp communications. They don't want long, languorous.
Then there's one which borders on the insulting. It's called cheeky face, and it's one of these little silly yellow faces with the tongue sticking out and one eye closed, like a wink.
that's right.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Well, I think you should start using them.
There's a blowing a kiss one.
Yeah.
There's a winking face.
Yeah.
There's a confused.
Yeah.
And then there's a see no evil monkey.
Yeah.
Covering its eyes and
Well, for example,
ears.
if I showed you all the emojis that I've got, right?
Yeah.
There's loads of them. I've got a skull you could send to somebody.
Yeah.
I've got lips. I've got eyes. I've got a nose. I've got two hands praying. I've got a whole collection of animals.
But
right?
can I just tell you this?
Whole collection of animals.
Can I just tell you this?
Because I know you're not happy about me interrupting. There's a horse's head. There's an elephant.
What's the horse's head mean?
Well, I mean, if you wanted to send somebody a threat, I suppose, you'd say, I'm coming to see you.
Can't believe it.
And put a horse's head.
What, from the old
if I
Godfather film?
If I sent you that, then you'd know what I was talking about, wouldn't you?
No.
And I'd rather
I
not
think you've
spell
gone
it out.
mad.
I'd rather not spell it out. Or, for example, I could say, look, I'm coming round for dinner, and I could put a picture of a fish, for example, and you would say, does that mean we're having fish for dinner? That's a very descriptive way of doing it.
Well, hang on, I'll dig you this report. It's a British study, right, into this rubbish.
There's an octopus on here as well.
And,
He hasn't got a watch on, mind you.
No, exactly. And it says the British study carried out by Talk.
Yeah.
So they're quite a big company, aren't they?
Yeah, they're a phone company.
Yeah, phone company.
Yeah. You don't have to name them.
It says 4 in 10 adults have sent messages composed entirely of emojis.
Yeah.
So you've got to guess. It's like when you see these newspaper quizzes, name the film, and it shows you 3 symbols. You know what I mean? So, for instance, if it was Top Gun, it would show you the top of a bottle,
and a gun, That'd be it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You wouldn't really need a third one, would you?
No, you wouldn't need a third
Picture
one.
of Tom Cruise, maybe.
Exactly. So you could get that in 2. Yeah. Well,
What about Rambo? What would you do for that? A picture of a ram and a picture of a bow.
Yeah, that's
you
right.
Need 2 for that as well.
No, you would. Yeah. Yeah, but hang on. I did that. Thinking on the hoof, so to speak. I mean, you could have a much longer one, like for instance, the sound of music.
Okay,
right? How would you illustrate that?
Well, you can use musical notes, right?
Yes.
So I would do an ear, which would be for the sound. I would use the musical notes for music, and that would be another 2.
Yeah, I wouldn't use an ear for sound. I'd use a speaker with
you could use a speaker
with things coming out of it, right?
And if you were going to be really complicated, I suppose you could use a cow for the music, right? And that would be for moo. And then the sick part, you could show somebody with a mask on in a hospital.
Or somebody throwing up.
Moo sick. Well, they haven't got one of somebody being sick.
Oh, really? Okay. But anyway, look, what I'm saying is, it says 4 out of 10 adults have sent messages completely emojis. Yeah, but hang on. Listen to the rest of this.
Here's a conversation I had with my daughter, right? You can't read some of it out because there's some swear words in there. But, she's written me one saying...
You and your daughter exchange swear words?
Of course we do,
Does she dislike you that much?
No, we don't swear at each other.
God.
We just use swear words to illustrate what we're saying.
Well, anyway,
she goes, have an amazing dinner, right? And it says it's got a pair of lips kissing, a glass of wine, a picture of a face with 2 love hearts for eyes, and then 2 more hearts.
Yeah, but you see,
what's wrong with that?
Well, that's not a message. That is a kind of show of affection to you, her father, right?
Which is a very nice way of doing it.
Well, that's a waste of time and effort. I mean, it really is. Waste of energy.
We've already found out from yesterday what you think about people's fathers. A lot of people said you should start the show tonight by apologising to me after saying such terrible things about my dad.
Yeah, but hang on. You know exactly in what context it's said, and
I don't take offence at anything you say.
You've admitted to me in the past that you do think your father was a rather odd character. What did I call him? Did I call a stumblebum, apparently?
Something like that,
Yeah, well, I will
that.
Withdraw that, because that's not fair. Your father was an educated man.
He was.
He was just so eccentric.
He was a bit eccentric.
So eccentric, it bordered on like Nutsville.
Nelly has sent a tweet in, right? It says, hello, great 2 mics, great show with 2 thumbs up on the emojis. Roll on weekend for a few, and then it's got 4 glasses of red wine. Yeah. And it says, great show, gents. Now, so he's actually using fewer words, so it's economy of words, isn't it?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is this is the essential part of the report you won't let me read out.
Oh, sorry.
A majority of the over 40s have been left utterly confused by the symbols. Nearly a third of them admit avoiding them completely for fear of getting them wrong. Emojis of dancing girls and faces with shifty eyes are among the most baffling.
Yeah.
Right?
See, there's a good one of a Spanish dancer that I often use when I send it out to people.
And what does that message convey?
Well, for me, it conveys, you're going out for the night or you're going to have a good time, a bit of Spanish dancing. Yeah, it's great.
I mean, this is another nail in the coffin of the English language.
No, it's not.
And I object to it. I think it should be either banned or the dangers of using this sort of nonsense and rubbish should be spelt out, particularly to young children, because already we've got children. I thought it had gone bad when you get children abbreviating words to fit them into a text message of 147 characters, like, how you instead of how are you, and all this kind of nonsense. But now, apparently, we're doing away with words altogether, and we're going to start communicating with stupid little symbols, which belong in comic books.
No, I think they're very clever.
That's the English language. language doomed.
I think they're very clever, and what they do is they illustrate your words without you having to write loads and loads and loads of them. Freddie has tweeted at the two mics. He says, are there any emojis of a tin can for Porky's food or one of a locked room?
Well, there is no locked room, and as for the tin cans,
actually,
that is preposterous. Everybody uses tin food. Everybody. If you didn't, you wouldn't have huge rows of tin cans in every supermarket you ever go into.
No, that's very true.
Yes.
I mean, you've got plants here. You could use a mushroom. They've got toadstools. They've got rams. They've got ducks. Actually, they've got alligators, dolphins.
6 billion emoji messages total, just emoji messages sent every day.
I think they're great. I really like them.
Well, what it says here, and I suppose you could take this as a positive, is actually the other advantage of emoji, apart from the fact it's very quick to knock all these symbols out, it's an international language.
It is, yeah, that's
so
true.
you don't need to be able to speak English, French, German and Japanese to be able to communicate with somebody from those 4 different countries.
Generally speaking, you're not having a text message conversation with somebody in a foreign language, are you?
No, but I mean, you may, for instance, supposing you went to China and your driver, right, was a Chinese guy, didn't speak any English. Yeah. And then
you could use the emojis and show them to him.
Well, no, what I'm saying is you'd get his mobile phone number so you could call him up as and when you wanted to and summon him to your hotel to take you out and all that.
Any English?
Well, that's what I'm saying. You'd send him an emoji, wouldn't you? So you'd
not if you rang him.
No, you wouldn't ring him. You'd send him a text.
Oh, okay.
Send him an emoji text. And therefore, you'd have to invent an emoji of, a man sitting in a car with his hands on a steering wheel, wouldn't you? Something like that.
Well, you might think you want to drive the car then.
Well, no, you wouldn't, no.
Well, you could send him a picture of a cow and he might think you want to go out for dinner.
Or what about a picture of a hand waving towards a face, i.e. come here?
I don't think they've got one of those.
Well, they should invent one then, shouldn't they? If it's international language, that's the only way to do it.
You can send him a picture of a torch, thereby showing him that you didn't know how to switch the lights on.
What?
A picture of a torch.
You're
not getting this, are you? The lights in the hotel room.
That'd be ridiculous. The lights in the hotel room work. They don't not work.
Well, they didn't in San Francisco when I was there.
Yeah, but that was because there was an earthquake, you idiot. You don't go to many places where earthquakes take place.
You could send it, right, here's one. You send him a picture of a plane, which would be take me to the airport.
Yes, you could do that.
Wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Picture of, let's see, a train. Take me to the train.
Picture of a table full of nosh to go to a restaurant.
Yeah, picture. Well, they don't have tables full of nosh.
Well, they should have. And pictures of a glass of wine. We've already seen that.
Glass of wine.
To a wine bar.
You could do a knife and fork. You can do some French fries. You can do a loaf of bread.
Also, what about one with 6 bricks? Take me to the Great Wall of China.
6 bricks. I want to see.
Yeah. Well, that's like you build a wall, isn't it? No, you know what I mean. It's a building, isn't it?
Yeah.
What's the most famous building in China? The Great Wall of China.
The worldwide universal knowledge of how to describe the Great Wall of China: 6 bricks.
Why not?
Yeah, why not? Indeed.
It's quite obvious. It's made of bricks.
Is it?
So what's your problem? What do you think it's made of? Do you think it's made of wood?
I think there's a lot more bricks in it than 6.
Well, of course there are, but you can't get more than 6 bricks into emoji, can you?
Well, you can get as many as you like. You can actually have an emoji of a wall. Anyway, I don't think you get this at all.
It's a load of nonsense.
I'll have to work on you a bit more. Looking to light for a moment. This is the 2 mics on Talk Sport. This is Talk Sport Extra Time. We are the 2 mics. There will be a podcast coming out a little bit later on, of course. Now, wouldn't you love to be down in Monaco this weekend?
Well, not really, no.
No? Why?
It's what a hassle it is being down there during the Grand Prix. All the roads are closed off. I mean, that's a statement of the obvious for the Grand Prix, but you can't get around.
Yeah, how do you get around then?
Well, you don't.
If you wanted to get from, say, the Café de Parry
down
to the quayside,
unless
they must have some way of ferrying you down there, don't they?
Unless they're practising, they do allow registered cars to use the track to get you around. But I mean, for hours and hours on end, when the cars are practising, you can't move around at all.
Right.
It's a nightmare. And no, I wouldn't want to go. But
have you been down there for a Grand Prix?
Well, no, what happened was we went down there for a Chelsea game. It's the semi-final of the Champions League.
Right.
But it was a week before the Grand Prix. So what you actually saw was the whole principality being converted from a principality into a racetrack.
Yeah.
It was fascinating to see all happening.
Yeah.
But it did still mean there were massive restrictions on your ability to move around.
Yeah.
Now, our correspondent down there, or one of them, is going to be Mr. Brazil.
Mr. Brazil, yeah, I think he's going there after the show today, isn't he?
After the show today, and he will be berthed on a boat on Casino Bend or corner, or whatever it's called. You know, that's one of the.
Yeah, he was telling me that he's right near one of the big chicanes.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And
so he's going to sleep on the boat, is he?
he's a guest on board a boat, but it's such a big boat that he said, well, no, he said, I don't call it a boat, I call it a liner, because it's that big. It's got about 8 or 10 decks or something, you know. And he is going with his wife.
One of those ones with like a helicopter on it.
Yeah, I think it probably will. He's going with his wife and one of his daughters, but there may be a family reorganisation. Because I'm delighted to be able to tell the audience Mr. Brazil became a grandfather for the second time yesterday.
Sure he wants you to tell everybody this?
Well, he's put a tweet out on it.
Oh, has he?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And
I don't want you to betray any confidence.
No, and lots of people were congratulating him. So,
well, we should congratulate him as well, then.
Yeah, well exactly. That's what I'm saying.
So, grandfather, what, for the second time?
For the second time, yes.
He's not looking too bad for a grandfather, is he?
He looks fine. He looks in great shape. And, you know, the amazing thing, the line, the Brazil family line of girls goes on again.
Right.
Because Al's got 3 daughters.
Right.
And his wife's brother, who sadly died a few years ago, but he's got 3 daughters.
Right.
Sorry, they've got 2 daughters, that's right. Al's now got 2 grandchildren, and they're both girls.
Both girls.
And the whole Brazil family are sort of having a problem finding a male heir, I suppose. Right. But there you go.
So he's going to be in the house with even more girls around than ever before.
Well, I don't suppose his granddaughters will live with him, but I mean, yes, it very
No, but
much
I mean,
so.
for family gatherings,
absolutely.
he's like the only male
Absolutely,
there,
absolutely right,
which I can't quite picture somehow.
Well, no, I mean, remember that certainly his eldest daughter, who's mother to the 2 grandchildren, is married to...
Oh, of course,
so he comes round,
No,
all
but I
that
just
kind of
mean
stuff,
to be the only sort of male member of the family.
No, it's true,
Quite
it's true. But he seems to have coped with it very, very well over the last 30 years, so it doesn't bother him at all.
I was thinking of you and Mr. Brazil actually earlier on, because I told you about that document that was sent to me, which was an interview, A Day in the Life of Mike Parry.
Oh, okay.
Which was done by the Press Gazette, which is the sort
that
of
was
trade
a few years ago,
in-house newspaper. I think it was 2003.
Was it really?
By the looks of it. And you
far
were,
back.
and it starts like this, because I think you were programme director here at the time.
I probably was.
And it says, working week in the life of Mike Parry, programme director and breakfast show presenter for Talk Sport. That must have been a busy time, right?
Was
and
quite
of course,
busy.
you were starting off all about Wayne Rooney. It's the morning after the night before when Wonder Boy Wayne Rooney made his first start for the full England team. He was a sensation, and I was thrilled to be at Sunderland Stadium of Light.
That's right, it was, yeah.
So you
remember
wrote
that.
all this in your own sort of words. It wasn't like an interview or anything like that.
No.
It goes on and on and on forever. And basically, you make yourself out to be the hardest working man that ever lived.
Well,
that
I probably
ever walked
was.
the
I probably
earth.
was in those days. I used to get up at 3:30, 6 days a
So
week.
here, the alarm call came at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
That's a lie-in for me, because in London I get up at 3 a.m. But we're broadcasting today from the North East because of the England game.
That's right.
He says, I rendezvous with Alan Brazil, my co-host, at 5 a.m. We do the newspapers, catch up on all developments overnight on the war, search the websites and start talking to London about a running order.
Yeah.
And then it just goes on and on like this. And I mean, there doesn't appear to be any moment of the day where you're not doing something.
Well, I wasn't in those days. As I say, I used to get up at 3:30 a.m. 6 days a week,
Right.
Because we did the Saturday breakfast show as well. And when I'd finished doing the breakfast show at 10 o'clock, then I was running everything else till about 6 or 7 in the evening.
Let me just pick up a little bit later on in the day.
Okay.
We'll go through the show. Right, at 10 a.m. we wrap up the show, de-rig and pack up all the gear which Jim, who's the guy who was the outside broadcast guy, has transported to his truck. He's driving back while Mr. Brazil and I are going on the train.
Yes.
It's a lovely day, and on the train we encounter a collection of England and TalkSport fans. Everybody is very well-meaning, but there is still a lot of work to be done on the phone. Before I go to bed, I have to repack my bag because we are away again tomorrow afternoon. Now, this train journey from Sunderland back down to London, presumably.
Yes.
I mean, there's no mention of what happens on the train.
Well, there is. We met a few fans.
You met a few England fans, and then next thing that happens, you're at home getting ready to pack up and go to sleep.
Yeah, well, presumably we had a few drinks on the train.
Well, I presume so.
And,
but isn't that the kind of thing that people would want to know about?
Well, not really, because I'm not big on indulgences like that, and probably wasn't drinking very much in those days.
The way this reads, right, it's you and Mr. Brazil getting on a train because you've had a very hard working trip up to Sunderland.
Right.
And you race back to London because you've got so much work to do.
Well, you know,
it doesn't remind me of anything that you and Mr. Brazil have ever done.
No, listen, mate, you've got to remember the empire could collapse in those days if I wasn't around to keep it going. You know what I mean? It was a growing organisation. We weren't the massive multinational company we are now.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
And what about this, right? The clock goes off, the alarm clock goes off next morning at 3 a.m.
Right.
The car comes at 4 a.m. And listen to this for somebody who is so completely up themselves, right? Parker, my driver, has to be totally reliable because of the critical timings.
Yes,
Parker.
exactly. Yeah. Well, that's
Are you having a laugh?
No, that's what Mr. Brazil used to call him, you know, from Thunderbirds, obviously.
And then it says, when the show finishes at 10 a.m, I try to lock myself in my office for an hour to go through the mountain of paperwork that builds up when you're out of town.
Yeah.
Programme schedules have to be sorted while we have to consider proposals for all of our programmes from all over the country. I mean, this does not in any way, shape or form, and I admit that I wasn't here then.
Right.
This does not remind me or describe to me anything like your working day as I know it to be.
Yeah, but I was the programme director in those
I mean, it
days,
doesn't
so
describe
it was
any
totally
of the...
different.
No, but there's no shouting going on,
No.
which there normally would have
Why
been.
would you talk about shouting?
There's no kind of chaos going on, which there normally would
There
have
was
been.
no chaos when I was in charge.
And there doesn't seem to be any drinking going on either.
No, there's no drinking going on either. And you've got to remember, in those days, all my heart worked, right? Only 1/3 of my heart worked.
Right, so what are you telling me that in those days, when you were working that hard, there wasn't the occasional sort of, I popped out for lunch for a few hours to see some colleagues?
No, I never did that.
Really?
No, I hated lunches, and I still hate lunches.
Well,
Lunches
you must have gone for a drink on the way home.
Well, I might have done, I don't know. It depends what time I would leave. If I left here at 5 or 6 o'clock, I wouldn't bother because I hate going into pubs that are packed.
Yeah.
I only like to go into a pub when it's
it's
deserted and
amazing.
empty.
I mean, I'm not going to keep going on about this, but then from there you go down to Sandwich, where you're covering the open. And,
That's right, yeah.
I mean, it's like you're some kind of hamster on a wheel.
No. I mean, those are the sort of things we used to do in those days. We had to get everything going. We didn't have a lot of people to do it. So
I personally
had to
would
do a lot
have
myself.
felt shortchanged because there's not enough detail on the bladderisation of what was going on around
No,
you.
there was no bladderisation. That's the whole point. You couldn't do it in those days. Anyway, I don't know why we're talking about me. People don't want to hear about me. Well, they do, but I mean, only to a limited extent. You know what I mean? We were talking about the Monaco
You were
Grand
talking about
Prix,
Lewis Hamilton,
so I don't know why on earth we got onto
because
that.
you were mentioning Mr. Brazil.
Oh,
yourself.
okay. Well, I was saying that Al's going to be there. He's going to be on this boat. He's going to watch all the action. And, of course, it runs into... I didn't realise, actually, until today. Next Monday's a bank holiday Monday.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
So he won't be here then. Somebody else will be doing the breakfast show, and he'll come back after that. This is hot on the heels of Mr. Brazil just returning only last week from a holiday at Sandy Lane in Barbados.
In Barbados, very
now,
nice too.
Are we starting to get the feeling that Mr. Brazil's living high off the hog? And,
I don't think that's any of your business, is it?
And I mean, you can say literally that the two places he's been to in 3 weeks, one, Monaco during the Grand Prix, and two, probably one of the most luxurious hotels in the world, Sandy Lane's in Barbados, one of the most exclusive hotels in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, this is getting to the stage now where he has become an international jet setter, international jet setter, and mixing with the elite of people in the world.
Yes.
Now, I mean, how did Mr. Brazil ever get to that sort of pinnacle?
Well, I mean, he's been at the top of his game for many, many years.
Yeah.
And therefore, I wouldn't be at all surprised if those are the kinds of places he goes. And I guess if you go to somewhere like Sandy Lane, you're more than likely to run into a bloke who's got a massive, great yacht in the harbour at Monaco to watch the Grand Prix from.
It's absolutely true. And by the way, sorry, funny, I was out with Mr. Brazil today. We were doing a bit of work elsewhere.
Right.
And he showed me this letter he got, which came to Talk Sport.
Yeah.
And it was a beautifully embossed envelope, and it said, Mr. Alan Brazil, Talk Sport, no. He opened it. The letter said, Dear Mr. Brazil, my name is so-and-so. I run a holiday complex in the Bahamas.
Yeah.
I have been a fan of your radio show for many, many years. You've brought me great pleasure. I would like to invite you and your family to take residence in one of my villas for 10 days in the Bahamas. There will be no cost. It would be a pleasure to entertain you.
Are you sure Mr. Brazil wants you to reveal all this on air?
Yeah, because he's turned it down.
Oh, has he?
Turned it down for the obvious reason.
Well, I didn't like the look of it.
Well, you just don't know these people. And I've had this in the past, people... I mean, you won't believe this, Mike. Sometimes when Everton are playing away in somewhere like Newcastle or something like that, you get all these letters that come to Talk Sport, and they're very well-meaning. Nice people say, hi, mate, don't bother paying £150 for a hotel in Newcastle. Come and stay at our place. Yeah. I've got a 4-bedroomed home, and, we've got an ensuite bathroom
you wouldn't
for you and all
fancy that, would you?
Well, I mean, no, it's very well-meaning and all that kind of stuff, but, I mean, it's a bit odd, isn't it? Would you invite strangers into your house? I certainly wouldn't.
I certainly wouldn't invite you there.
I mean, I told you about Mark Zuckerberg, didn't I, last night? Who nobody gets in his house, and I don't blame him. He's one of the richest men in the world.
I was in receipt of a sort of care package that came into me last night at TalkSport from a guy in Australia who I don't know, just listens to the show.
Sorry, what was in this care package?
Well, he said to me he was going to send me a copy of a book that he wanted me to give to you, actually.
Yes.
About the Beatles. But
which is the book?
The book's called Shout, and it's by Philip Norman. And I'd also read it. But he also included a cap, a sort of a beanie cap, which is from his favourite Aussie Rules football team.
Oh, yeah, which one?
Which is down in Melbourne somewhere. I can't remember what they're called. A packet of Tim Tam biscuits.
What?
Which are Aussie
he sent those from Australia.
Aussie chocolate biscuits, and a squeezy tube of Vegemite.
Why?
And some tea.
Why?
Some Australian afternoon tea. Well, because he just wanted to send something
That's
nice.
very nice of him, and thank you very much indeed. I wonder how long it took to get here to start off with.
Well, I mean,
Why didn't the biscuits melt in the post?
Well, they didn't melt in the post.
Well, they could have done. I mean, must have been those biscuits must have been frozen to minus 650 degrees.
What, you mean in the hold of an aircraft?
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
Well, is that a problem then? You mean you shouldn't eat them?
Well, I, to be honest, although it's very well meaning of people, please don't send us sweets or food and all that, because quite frankly, I'm always very suspicious.
What, you think someone's trying to poison you?
Oh, exactly. I think no, I do. I think this is dressed up as a gift, but it's actually somebody who hates me. And what they've done
Well,
is
that's because you're paranoid.
no, hang on. What they've done is they've got the
I'm
old
gonna have no
syringe.
trouble eating these
Right, they've got the
biscuits.
old syringe.
Yeah.
And if they
Why would anybody want to kill you?
well, I don't know, but I'm not going to take any chances. So somebody sends me a Mars bar. The first thing I look for in the Mars bar wrapper is the pinprick hole where the syringe.
Do you hold it up to the light?
I do, where the syringe has gone in through the wrapper and they've injected the Mars bar with cyanide.
Why don't you just take the wrapper off and have a look if there's a syringe hole in the chocolate?
Because you wouldn't be able to see a syringe hole in a bar of chocolate,
Course you would.
idiot. No, you wouldn't. The Mars bar's the favourite for poisoning people.
Well,
'cause
who has ever been poisoned
because
by
it's
Mars
got, it's
bar?
got wavy chocolate on the outside.
who-
and you can't see pinprick holes from
To your-
syringes,
to your
which are
knowledge-
delivering poison into the Mars bar.
To your knowledge, who has been killed by a Mars bar?
The easiest one to do it in, right, would be a
Who?
bounty, because a bounty is they actually
the time, by the way.
Don't worry about this. This is important, so you don't get poisoned. A bounty sells itself on, not Fry's Turkish Delight. What's the bounty song? They came and they bountified the land or something.
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
But what I'm saying is, when you break a bounty bar in two, it's already moist in the middle.
You don't
So
have to
it would
break
be
it in two.
easy.
It comes in
It'd
two
be
pieces.
easy to put poison in a bounty bar because it's already wet, so you wouldn't notice the wetness of the poison.
I think you should stop buying the chocolate from the shop you go to. If you're buying wet bounties, I think they're having you on.
They're wet when you bite them.
Really. This is Talk Sport. Watch your Mars bars carefully in case there's any pinprick holes in them, because they might be full of cyanide. A message from the guy that sent us all that stuff from Australia, by the way.
right.
So
Very
I'm
good of
going
him.
to send out a picture of all of that
Okay.
stuff that we got. So thanks, Spencer, very much
Yes,
indeed.
yes.
And I'll be, obviously, Mr. Parry won't be imbibing any of it, but
Yeah.
I will be. So
Yeah.
if I'm not here on Monday, it'll be because he's poisoned me with cyanide.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Clearly.
Well, I mean, clearly he hasn't. He's a decent chap and all that kind of stuff. But you've got to remember there are people out there who may in their warped minds want to do you harm. So you've got to be on the ball.
Yeah, you have.
Got to be
Yeah,
on the ball.
absolutely right. Now, there's a couple of great tweets I have to read out to you.
Right.
Here. Brian in Islington says this. He's actually sent this in on a text 81089. Dear Mr.
Yes.
Graham, Porky and Eurovision equals a match made in heaven.
Yes.
One is full of over-the-top, out-of-tune and irritating singing, and the other one is the Eurovision Song Contest.
Ha 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 ha. Yeah, that's very funny.
Yeah, and here's one from somebody who doesn't give a name, I don't think.
Right.
Hey, Mike's problem with emojis is that it takes so long to find the ones you want. You might as well use the words. Tell Porky good luck in the quiz. There is that.
Yeah.
There is
Yeah, I
there is
thought
some
that
truth
as
to
well.
that.
Yeah, exactly.
Because if you are, I mean, what they do though, of course, is they have a sort of a board where your most frequently used ones always appear. So if you use, say, I know 20 of them quite a
I
lot,
know what you mean,
then
yeah.
you can do that. But if you do have to go and search, say, for a dolphin or an elephant or a rhinoceros
They're
or something like that,
ridiculous. It's
then
like-
you do have to look
It's
quite
like
far.
children's picture words, and the English language will eventually fall by the wayside.
I
Now-
don't agree.
Now, what do you think about the England squad?
Well, to be honest, I was listening to Roy Hodgson there during the news break there,
Yep.
and I'd completely forgotten about him until that moment.
Forgotten about who?
Roy Hodgson.
Why?
And, well, because I try to put Roy Hodgson out of my mind when England are not playing. Because, I mean, with the best will in the world, he's not the most exciting orator, is he? And when you hear him speaking, I suddenly find myself.
He talks like this.
He talks like
doesn't
this,
he?
and I suddenly find this cloud of gloom descends upon me.
The boy Grealish has played for Ireland at under 21
Well, do you know what I mean?
level, and of course, any talented footballer in this country who may be available to put on a white shirt of England has to be given some attention. Yeah, I
As soon
agree.
as I hear his
He
voice,
can send you to sleep.
I suddenly think to myself, my goodness me, I'd totally forgotten about all
Yes.
that. And it sort of brought back the idea that, well, of course, there's all sorts of England players to talk about. But, I mean...
Now, what do we know about Jamie Vardy?
Jamie Vardy, well, you might have heard a caller earlier saying that, this is a guy that's worth his weight in gold. I'd rather have Jamie Vardy in the side than, say, for example, Raheem Sterling, because this is a guy who could score with either foot. I mean, he's only scored 4 goals in the Premier League this season for
Yes.
Leicester, but he's he's been very much part of Leicester's revival.
Yes.
And he's one of those old-fashioned kind of English players who just runs around a hell of a lot and is very enthusiastic.
Yeah, but what I find utterly ridiculous is there must be a dearth of talent in this country. Jamie Vardy is 28, okay?
Yes, right.
The other new boy, or one of the other new boys, there's two more, Charlie Austin and Tom Heaton.
Well, you wouldn't dispute Charlie Austin being in there, would you?
Tom Heaton, the Burnley goalkeeper, is 29.
Yeah.
Now, you know, people don't make their debuts for England at the age of 28 and 29
well,
if they've
not?
been a good footballer for the past 10 years.
Yeah, but I mean...
So we must be in desperate trouble.
Yeah, but
we must be in desperate trouble.
I mean, Ricky Lambert got into the England team later in life, didn't he?
For how long?
Yeah, well, only for one game, really.
Exactly. Precisely that,
well, but to be fair, Ricky Lambert...
So it's panic stations.
Well, it's not panic stations. I mean, it's supposed to be about showcasing English talent. You know, there's a friendly coming up. There's the Ireland game. You know, it's not going to be... you know, this is a time when Roy Hodgson can't win. That's what I'm saying. Because, I mean, he always has to put players in the team that club fans think that they should be putting in. And then everybody says, why are you experimenting? What are you doing that for?
Well, OK, but I just think bringing in players at the age of 28, 29... I mean, you say, well, where's that player been for the last 8 years? Where's that player been for the last 9 years? Even Charlie Austin is 25.
Yeah.
And I still think that's a pretty old age, that, to be called into an England squad for the first time, and that either he's become a super player in a very short period of time, or we are desperately short of talent.
Yeah, but
to
the
me, it
problem for
indicates a desperate shortage of talent, let me tell you.
I'd rather not
I know
think
what I'm
about
talking
it.
about.
Well, I'd be amazed if you didn't know what you're talking about and sitting here. But the thing that it depresses me is that, you know, what it means is that we're going to have another one of these international breaks coming up.
Yes.
And to be honest, I mean, I'm sorry, it's one of the most tedious times for me in the football calendar is when all Premier League football stops, you know, all Champions League football stops, and we have to sit and try and make out that these international breaks are actually interesting.
Well, friendly games sometimes, particularly away from home, can be a bit of a trial. But I've got some very good news for all TalkSport listeners.
What's that?
On the night that England play the Republic of Ireland, in the Republic of Ireland, it's a Sunday, for the first time ever. It's an international Sunday night. Don't worry, folks. You can go instead to the St James Theatre in London's West End and watch the Two Mics live on stage.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
In our biggest ever show in London so far.
Yeah, great idea.
And there's a few tickets still available. What's it called? At St James?
Well, no, you just go onto our website and find it there.
OK. Now, listen, the other thing I want to talk to you about is the boy Grealish, OK?
The boy Grealish, yes.
Now, Mr Hodgson again was talking... that's right, you know.
That's not him, is it?
Mr Hodgson again was talking about Jack Grealish and saying he's got to make his mind up between Ireland and England.
I thought he already had made his mind up.
No, apparently he hasn't.
Because I thought the story was that he was thinking about making his mind up, then he did make his mind up.
No, Roy Hodgson has given Jack Grealish an autumn deadline to decide his international future after confirming he wants the Aston Villa midfielder to switch countries to England.
Right.
Now, do you know what I'd do? That is Roy Hodgson now giving a boy who's aged about 21, I think.
Yeah.
Is he 21?
He might not even be 21.
Might not even be 21. The initiative on where he stakes his future international career.
Okay.
Instead of which, what Mr Hodgson should have done, in my view, is should have said, I'm calling Grealish into the squad. If he doesn't want to play for England, he can withdraw.
Well, that's an interesting point. Let's hear from Mr Hodgson and what you said about Mr Grealish.
I can't tell you anything more than what everybody knows, and that is that he's got this opportunity to play for both countries. We obviously like him very much. We think he's a very fine player, as do Ireland. He has played for Ireland at youth team level. He's now got to make a decision, if he wants to play for England, to renounce Ireland and to change allegiance to England. That's not an easy decision for anybody to make. So I think the only thing we can do as England is to give him the time he needs to make his decision. It's pretty obvious that we think he's a good player and would like to see him, pledge his allegiance to us. But if he doesn't, that's his decision, and I think he should be allowed to make that decision without any undue influence.
Yeah, but I'm sorry. I think that behind the scenes, Roy Hodgson should have got somebody from the FA to have saddled up alongside the boy and said, look, kid, you want to play for England or you're going to stick with Ireland?
Yeah.
You stick with Ireland, that's fine, no problem at all.
Right.
Let us know. But if you want to play for England, you better let us know now because we're not going to wait more than another week.
But it's such a strange way that he speaks about him as well. We're talking about renouncing Ireland as if it's some kind of massive decision, you know.
Yeah, it's like,
and he says,
renouncing religion.
And the great thing about this guy is that he's got the opportunity to play for two teams. He hasn't got the opportunity to play for two teams. He only played for one.
Yeah, of course.
So he's not right about that.
You mean one of two teams?
Yeah, he has to make a choice. John has tweeted at the Two Mics, says, please, please, please put Roy Hodgson out to grass. I beg you.
Well,
I mean, that's the problem when you listen to Roy Hodgson. He doesn't inspire you, does he?
He doesn't inspire you. The other interesting one is this guy, Vardy, right?
Yeah.
Now, at 28, that's why I'm questioning him being brought into the squad for the first time. We must be desperately short. Plus the fact that Vardy has played most of the season for a team that's been struggling, OK? But, of course, Leicester had a revival at the end of the season. That might have helped his profile.
Well, I think you'd say he's had a pretty good season, because as we're hearing, I mean, a lot of Leicester's results were were not because they'd played terribly badly.
Yeah, but listen to the profile of this James Vardy.
Yeah.
Roy Hodgson first watched Vardy play for Fleetwood on a Friday night at Kidderminster in March 2012 when he was the head coach at West Brom. I mean, have you ever been to Fleetwood?
No, but funnily enough, the guy who came on singing Vardy's praises was a Fleetwood fan. It's it's up at Blackpool, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Just north of Blackpool.
Yeah.
You know, it's. But if you drove through it and blinked, you'd miss it.
Yeah. In fact, was there not that great cup tie between Blackpool and Fleetwood a few years ago?
Yeah, there was. That's right. Yeah. And then the next thing we know, he's at Leicester. And Mr. Hodgson said, we have continued to monitor him and he's some interesting qualities, and this will be a chance to see them at close hand.
Yeah.
What kind of endorsement is that for bringing a player in the England squad? He has some interesting qualities. Oh, what are amongst those qualities? Does he practice origami? Is he
What's that thing you're going to be doing?
Is he a fell walker? Hapkido.
Hapkido.
Yeah.
Well, surely you're not one of those people who thinks that the only people
Go on.
that should play for England are those who play in the top elite level of the Premier League.
Of course, that's what I think.
You don't think that if you play for a team like Leicester, you should be allowed in? Is that what you're saying?
No, if you play
I thought you were a man of the people.
I am a man of the people,
Rubbish.
but if you play in a struggling team for most of the season, you have the qualities of strugglisation, if you see what I mean. You know what I mean?
Strugglisation?
Yeah, in the sense that you've been surrounded by it most of the season. If, on the other hand, you play for a team like Chelsea, which is used to winning and has a winning mentality and a winning culture, you're in far better.
Here's my theory.
You're in a far better frame of mind to represent your country than if you come from a team of bums.
Right. Well, here's my theory.
Not I'm suggesting Leicester are bums.
Well,
by
I
the
think
way.
you just have.
No, I'm not.
Yes,
I'm
you
not.
have. You've just upset everybody in Leicester now. The reason that the German team are very successful in the World Cup is because they all played together in the
players.
Well, yeah, but they also played together as under-21s.
They did.
They also most of them played together in Bayern Munich, right?
Yeah.
Same for Spain. The reason that Spain's team is so successful, most of them played together for Barcelona and Real Madrid, right? England will never have that luxury because all of England's top teams are full of foreign players.
Yes.
So you can't say take the heart of Chelsea or the heart of Manchester United or Liverpool or Manchester City and put them into an England shirt and say these guys are all great, they know how to play with each other, because we don't have that luxury.
No.
So I think giving people a chance from Leicester and Southampton and even Everton, a lowly club like them who didn't have a great season, let them play for England.
Yeah, but Everton haven't been fighting any relegation battles. I mean,
Not
I
this
must
year.
be getting old because when I see names,
You are.
when I see names like Klein, Southampton, obviously I know who he is, but it's
Nathaniel Klein.
Yeah, but you have to think for a minute. Hang on, what does he look like? You see what I mean? When you see names like Mason, Tottenham, I really have to think. Hang on, what does he look like? Where does he play?
Well, we watched them play. We went
did.
and watched Tottenham play Everton.
Yeah, I know. But what I'm
you know
saying,
exactly what he looks
what
like.
I'm saying is,
You've seen the time, by the way. It's really late,
don't worry about the time.
I am worried about
what
it.
I am saying is that when I was growing up as a kid and even as a young man in the 20s and all that, you knew instinctively the regular pool of England players.
Yeah.
And what I'm saying is now I sometimes have to search my memory to remember who these guys are, who they play for, when they last played, where they played. And Vardy of Leicester's never come onto my radar screen ever.
Well, I've
despite
watched him
this
a lot.
season.
I've watched him a lot on Match of the Day this season. I have to say.
Well, we've all watched on Match of the Day, for goodness sake,
Well,
But
you
what
don't know what he looks like.
Hey?
You said you didn't know what he looked like.
I do know what he looks like. I said I had to think carefully to remember what he looked like.
Well, we'll have to look into the light for a minute anyway, because it's very, very late and we're getting behind.
Yeah,
We'll
what
get
he
into
looks
trouble.
like. Look into the light. What's it all about looking for?
Well, looking for, I don't know, anything you like.
Redemption,
yeah, very much so. We are the Two Mics. Loads more coming up.
On DAB, digital radio, and 1089 and 1053 AM.
A terrific performance.
Turn of pace and eye for goal.
Shout about it.
Python.
Oh, really? Yeah.
you remember that.
Okay.
So we don't have to worry about that, because I've got some tweets to read out to you before we go any further.
I do have a new theory on philosophy, which I'll tell you about a bit later on.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
all right.
Go on.
Here's one from Lake Hill, who says, hashtag Trojan horse cookies. I think he was talking about these nice presents that were sent over from
that
Australia.
have been frozen to minus 650
Bradley says,
degrees.
easiest chocolate poisoning would surely be a whisper or a spiral. I don't know why he's saying that.
Yeah, I understand what he's saying.
Is it because of the holes in it?
Yes, that's right, yeah.
Richard says, is Mike Parry giving tips on how to poison people and get away with it? Watch out next April Fool's, MG.
Yeah, well, that's the point, And I wouldn't poison you, don't worry.
Well, Mars, how about this one? He says, I was thinking of sending Oreo cookies with toothpaste inside to them.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
April Fool's Day. I forgot about that.
I
haven't yet got you back on that.
Well, you got me back. You tried to take my teeth out with pliers, for goodness sake.
Yeah, but I didn't get anywhere near you, did I?
No, damn right you didn't, mate.
Yeah.
I saw you coming a mile off. Let's I'll tell you what I want to talk to you about. Because you live this sort of itinerant lifestyle.
Itinerant, is it?
Itinerant lifestyle, where very much on your own during the week, and incapable of looking after yourself, in my view.
Not true at all.
Incapable of looking after yourself.
I cook myself very fine food.
I say that is because I am able to look after myself absolutely thoroughly in every aspect of domesticity.
Well, you don't actually look after yourself.
Yes, I do.
You've got a housekeeper who looks after you.
Well, I organise a housekeeper, don't I? But what I'm saying is, I've seen you occasionally come in here, and it's clear that, you forgot to take the shirts to the laundry because you don't even bother washing them yourself.
That's not true.
Have you got a washing machine at home?
Yeah, of course I have.
Well, why don't you use it then?
I do use it.
Oh,
I mean, you make up all this stuff as you go along, right?
No, you go on about taking all your shirts to a dry cleaners.
When I came in here one night in a white shirt, you accused me of having no other shirts to wear.
That's
Where
right.
you got that idea from, I have no idea.
Well, everybody reverts to the white shirt once they've used all the ordinary shirts.
Where did you get that idea from?
Oh, I know these things.
How many white shirts have you got?
Me?
Yeah.
I've got 12.
You've got 12 white shirts?
Yeah.
So if you did have to revert to white shirts, you'd be wearing 12 white shirts 12 consecutive days of the week. No big deal. I have a two-shirt system, right?
Yes.
I wash all my shirts. However, I take my best shirts to the dry cleaners to have them pressed.
It ruins the collars.
No, I like to have them pressed.
No, it ruins the collars.
No, I don't want to iron them. I prefer to have them pressed.
No, it ruins the collars, particularly if they put starch in them. I've had that problem all my life.
No, they don't put starch in
Chinese launderers in New York used to constantly starch my shirts. I used to go mad with them.
Yeah.
And I took them back once and flung them all at the Chinese guy and told, didn't want any starch.
If you'd had any brains, you could have done what I would have done, which is when you go to this place in New York and they say, "Do you want starch?" You say no.
Yeah, that's
and
what
that way, then they don't put it in.
Yeah, well, I used to forget to say that.
There
but
you
anyway,
go. So you literally can't
Now,
look after
listen, the reason
yourself.
I'm talking to you about this is this, right? I've seen you come in here sometimes, and I can see you've just taken that shirt out the wrapper.
What about this
and
shirt
you've got
here?
it on. No, that's not out the wrapper.
No, this is actually quite an old shirt.
It doesn't even look like it's been ironed, by the way.
No, it hasn't been.
It hasn't been ironed?
No.
What, you washed it and then put it on?
Yeah.
What about the ironing process?
I don't bother ironing my shirts.
That's disgusting.
If you bother to listen to me, right?
It's absolutely disgusting.
I told you, like my best shirts, which I tend to wear with my suits, or if I'm going to a do or something like that, I get those pressed. So at any given time, there's about 20 pressed shirts in my cupboard, right?
So you just
now,
totally...
The other shirts that I tend to wear, just coming in here or just going down to the coast for the weekend, I don't bother ironing them.
So you totally disrespect me and the members of your family by just appearing like an idle slob in an unironed shirt.
Well, I don't think it looks like a slobby shirt at all.
It does to me.
I don't. Well, to me,
I could see it wasn't ironed from the moment I saw you tonight.
Yeah.
That shirt's not been ironed.
I'm not ironing. Do you iron your own shirts?
Of course not.
No, you get somebody to do it for you.
Yes, I do.
And you think that's the definition of looking after yourself?
Well, you should organise your life like that and get somebody to do it for you.
I don't need them ironed.
Yes, you do.
No.
Anyway, listen, let me tell you,
Go on.
just before I get on to the main point of my story, there is a device these days, which I think I told you about on election night. You know, on election night, we watch the tellies all through the night.
Yeah.
And some of our internal monitors showed, like, shopping channels.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, that's some of your favourite late-night TV, isn't it?
There's an iron now that you can use once you put your shirt on.
What, you iron it while it's on you?
You put it on first. You take it out of the washing machine, you hang it up to dry, then it's very creased, of course. You put it on, and then there is what's now called a body iron, and you can iron the shirt, up and down your arms, up and down your chest.
How do you do the back?
Well, I suppose
you can't do the back.
I suppose people say if you're walking towards somebody, they can't see the back of your shirt anyway, so it doesn't
when
really
you're walking
matter.
out of the room, that doesn't.
Well, you have to walk out backwards. That's what Robbie Williams used to do in all his interviews. He said, whenever I walked in, I would walk in and lock on eye contact with the person who was interviewing me.
Yeah.
He said, then I always walked out backwards and never lost eye contact with that person.
Maybe it was because he was using one of those iron-on shirts.
And intimidating. It could have been. But anyway, look, the point of my story is
What
this.
is the point?
If you don't wash new clothes when you get them, you are in terrible danger of getting all sorts of diseases.
What are you talking about?
And the worst one being fleas or nits in your hair.
What sort of new clothes are you talking about?
Any
Suits,
new clothes.
Jumpers?
Any new clothes.
No, I don't agree with that.
Any new clothes, because let me tell you what happens. First of all, new clothes which arrive in stores in this country are often sprayed with a particular chemical which stops them from creasing while they're packed up very tightly in containers in ships, right, as they're being shipped over. Okay?
Being frozen to whatever it is, minus
650 degrees in the hold of an aircraft, right? So that's one point.
Yeah.
That can cause mildew if you don't wash it out when you get it, right? But the second one...
Well, I've never had that problem.
Well, I always wash everything I
You
ever
don't wash
buy.
anything. You get somebody else to do it.
Everything I buy gets washed.
By somebody else.
It doesn't matter by somebody else. I organise my life properly. Now, the other problem is, if you go into a store, and we all do, and I'll try that on, so you try something on.
Right.
The last person who tried it on might have had nits in his hair.
Yeah.
So if, for instance, you're trying on a coat, an overcoat...
he might have laced the collar of the shirt with cyanide.
Don't be ridiculous. He might have had nits in his hair. So you try the overcoat on, and all of a sudden those nits attach themselves to your hair, and all of a sudden you've got a disease.
You must go through life every single day in fear, absolute dread of something terrible happening to you.
I do. If you don't clean clothes and wash clothes all the time, for instance, that colourless gas that they spray on to stop the mildew, right? No, which causes the mildew to stop them creasing. Okay, what that can do is it can give you skin irritations, allergic reactions. It can raise. It can raise the risk of skin cancer, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
right.
Okay. Many synthetic fabrics get their hues from azoaniline dyes.
Well, I don't buy synthetic fabric.
Azoaniline dyes, which can cause a severe skin reaction to those who are allergic to it. You never know if you're allergic or not.
I don't buy synthetic clothes.
Okay,
Do you buy synthetic clothes?
Well, I don't know what the materials are sometimes.
Really?
But I mean, for instance, last week I bought 3 new pairs of chinos, right? Because I look good in chinos, right? Yeah,
I haven't seen you in chinos.
Yeah, of course I have. Have you seen me in chinos all the time?
I've never seen you in chinos.
Well,
what coloured chinos did you buy?
Dark blue and black.
Dark blue and black.
And in fact, I bought a pastel shade as well.
Pastel?
Yeah, because I thought summer's coming.
What colour pastel?
Sort of blue.
Light blue?
Yeah, like sort of powder blue, right?
Oh dear.
They look great, yeah.
That would look ridiculous.
But anyway, so
you would look absolutely ridiculous in a pair of powder blue slacks.
Yes, no, I wouldn't. So I bought 2 from Marks and Spencer's and 1 from British Home Stores next door, okay?
Right.
So then I take them home, and the first thing I do...
Well, those purple trousers you wore to Birmingham, were they chinos as well?
And they weren't purple, they were black. That was just the light.
No,
It's like a disco light on them. Now, what I'm saying is, I then wash them, then I take them out of the washing machine, hang them up to dry.
Yeah.
Then I take them to the...
When you say you wash them,
I wash
hang them up?
Yes.
You mean your housekeeper does?
No, I actually do that myself when she's not there. Yeah.
Okay.
Because then I take them...
Do you hang them on a horse?
No, you idiot. I hang them on hangers.
A clothes horse?
No.
Not a real horse?
No, you can't put trousers on the clothes horse.
Why
no,
not?
I hang them on hangers.
Okay.
Doesn't
that make a big crease, though, in the leg?
No. I hang them by the belt straps on a hanger. Okay?
So you actually hang them, you don't fold them on the hanger?
No, I hang them with the legs hanging down. Right, okay.
And where do you hang those?
I hang them on my door frames.
On the door frames?
Yes, that's right.
So if you walk around inside your pad, there's a load of trousers hanging off all the door frames.
Yes, there are, yeah.
That must look very odd.
And there's often sheets over the doors. Yeah, I put the sheets over the doors.
Dear God.
Yeah, but anyway, listen, what I'm saying
something
is...
out of Apocalypse Now.
Hang on. What I do is
the skulls?
I'm not going to answer stupid questions. Now, what I do then is I go to the dry cleaners, not to have them dry clean, but to have them shortened, because I have to have...
Shortened?
I always have to... No, I always have to have my trousers shortened.
Funny that.
And if you like, I'll tell you exactly what length.
Well, tell me.
26.5 inches
Is
inside leg. Yeah.
26.5
inch inside leg, okay? And I have them all...
You should be able to get a grant for that.
Hang on. That's a very... You're trying to insinuate that I'm kind of deformed or something.
Not at all.
I mean, this is disgusting behaviour.
Not at all. If you bought trousers that were in proportion with the
You can't get them for 26.5 inches long.
You must be too wide in the waist.
No, you can't. You get trousers in 27, 29, 31, 33.
Yeah.
But I need 26.5 inside leg for them to fall properly on my very expensive Nike trainers.
Loafers.
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you seen the time?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's fascinating. That's a real insight into your clothing.
Then I bring them back.
Yeah.
Then I wash them again.
Yeah.
They get washed again. And then that's when the housekeeper lady takes over and irons them for the first time to put a crease in the front exactly as I like it, okay? And if it's not exactly as I like it, they go back in the washing machine and I ask her to do them again.
You definitely need a hobby. That's what I can say. I've
No.
got time for all that cobbling.
No, well,
I've got
that's
family
because you don't look after yourself like I do.
I've got a family to look after. This is Talks, the Eurovision Song Contest, comes around every year. It's the 60th anniversary of it, isn't it? Which is a remarkable thing in itself. You're an expert in it, of course. And,
yes.
You've asked for this quiz to be compiled by the independent quizmasters.
Yes.
They've sent me the top secret questions. You haven't been able to see them this time.
No.
Nobody's been able to see them.
Well, I'm never able to see them.
Well, you were able to see them that one time. You can tell us now.
No, don't be ridiculous.
You can tell us now because
Don't be
enough
ridiculous.
water has gone under the bridge.
No, I've never cheated and I've never taken advantage of seeing the questions before the quiz. Where on earth did you get that allegation from?
Well, there was that time you were staring into my computer, which we managed to video.
No,
and there was the other time that
I wasn't.
we actually gave you the quiz questions and answers on the back of the running order.
And I never looked at them because I didn't know they were there,
Right.
OK? Just get that straight, pal.
But
right?
strangely, you did the best you've ever done on that one.
Yeah, that's because I knew my subject perfectly, as
Yeah.
I do most of the time. If you didn't gerrymander the questions, I'd get 9 out of 10 most weeks, OK?
Yes.
Right.
Okay, right. Now, anyway, the Eurovision quiz has been compiled. I've got the questions here. If
Right.
you get one correct, you will hear this sound.
Congratulations.
Excellent.
If, however, you get one wrong, you'll hear this sound.
I wonder if one day...
Großbritannien 0 Punkte.
I like that,
One. Right, are you ready for
Yeah.
question number 1?
OK, question number 1.
Which city hosted the first Eurovision Song Contest?
It was somewhere in Scandinavia. I would say that would be... Ooh, no, hang on. It was in Switzerland. I would say it was... well, it's in Switzerland, right? Which means...
Are you thinking aloud, or is that your answer?
Thinking aloud,
I've
thinking
asked you
aloud.
for the city.
Hang on. That could be... let me see. That would be... Hang on. If it's in Switzerland, it was probably Zurich.
Incorrect.
Oh, rubbish. What is it? I wonder if
Lugano.
one day...
Großbritannien 0
Yeah,
Punkte.
That's a suburb of...
Lugano's in
that's a
Switzerland.
suburb of the... It is.
Lugano.
Lugano on the lake.
Lugano.
Lugano on the
Lugano.
lake. Lugano means on the lake,
Yeah.
and it's in Zurich. It
Yeah.
is in Zurich, mate.
No, it says Lugano
It is
here.
in Zurich.
It says Lugano.
That is-
Well,
that-
I'll ask for Stuart's inquiry on that question.
That is
okay?
like saying Canary Wharf and London. Believe
Yeah.
me. Believe
Okay.
me.
All right, well,
Believe
if-
me. I've got it right. Yeah.
Lugano, I'm told, is 204 kilometres away from Zurich.
No, it's not. No, it's
0
not.
out of 1.
They're connected by water.
Yeah, great. Question number 2. How many countries will compete in the Eurovision Song Contest in 2015?
How many this year? Let me see. I think the answer to that, because it's the 60th anniversary, is they've gone for 60 nations.
Incorrect.
Großbritannien 0 Punkte.
40 is the answer.
40?
Yeah. Question number 3.
Right.
Which country did last
But it was
year...
in Switzerland, the first one, wasn't it? So I
Yeah.
got that very right.
Well, not very right. No, you didn't get the right city. Question number 3. Which country did last year's winner Simply Conchita represent?
Is that the chap with the beard?
I can't give you any clues.
I think it was the chap with the beard last year. And he or she... Did we ever find out the gender of this person?
Yeah, we did.
What was it?
Well, what does that matter?
Yeah, because it will trigger thoughts in my head.
Well, it was a he, wasn't it?
It was a he. Right, it was a he, and it was from... He was from... let me think now. He would have been from... It was somewhere like... I'm thinking aloud.
Making your mind.
Hang on. It was somewhere like... hang on. It wasn't Russia, because they don't like people with beards. Hang on. I reckon that guy was from... He was from one of those countries that emerged from the breakdown of the Soviet Empire. I'm going to say Czech Republic.
Incorrect.
Großbritannien 0 Punkte.
He was from Austria.
Austria, that was close.
Yeah. Question number
That's
4.
near Switzerland.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
It's almost as near
Yeah.
to Zurich as Lugano, actually. Question number 4.
Yeah.
What year did Katrina and the Waves win with Love Shine a Light?
Oh, Katrina and the Waves. I think that was in the 80s, and I think that was Katrina and the Waves. No, was it more recently? Think aloud. Now, I don't know why, but 1988 is bouncing off the inside of my skull. Katrina and the Waves, could have been 98, could have been 98, could have been 2008, could have been 2000. No, I think I'm going to say...
It's a 30-year span
Hang
going
on. Katrina and the Waves. I would say 88.
Incorrect.
Oh, rubbish. What is it?
0
What was it?
Punkte.
1997.
I said 98. I said
No, you
98.
didn't.
I was thinking aloud 98, and you didn't give me any indication I was closer.
I can't give you any indication. It's not for me to do that. So far, you've got none out of 4. Nil point. Question number 5. You should get this one. Who is representing the UK this year?
Is this the song?
I believe this is the song, yeah. Sounds awful, doesn't it?
No, it sounds good. Sounds like a typical Eurovision song. Is it somebody who's already established, or is it a new artist?
I can't give you any clues.
Why
here.
not?
Well, because I'm not empowered to do that.
I think you can. That to me sounds like Sounds like that bloke who used to wear a bowler hat and sing about Granny's having a party tonight. What was his name? Paul Nichols. I'm only thinking aloud.
Paul Nicholas.
Paul Nicholas.
Paul Nicholas. You said you spent 6 hours revising for this.
I did, but I did it historically right back to 1950. That's why I got Switzerland as the location of the first one.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to say... What are you laughing at? I'm going to say, because I think I heard about this.
Well, you'd like to have heard about it if you've been studying for a quiz on the Eurovision Song Contest. Like, what the current actual...
I think his name is Tommy Tune.
Tommy Tune?
Yeah.
Is that your answer?
Yes.
Incorrect.
Großbritannien 0 Punkte.
Tommy Tune.
What is
it? It's a group called Electro Velvet. It's nothing like Tommy Tune.
I think the lead singer's called Tommy Tune. I think he is.
Well,
I think if you look up and check,
we'll have a look and see if
please,
that's the case.
I think you'll find it. I'm sure I've got that right.
No, it's Alex Lark and Bianca Nicholas, I think.
I wonder what
right, question
Tommy.
number 6. Surely you'll get this one right. How many times has the UK won the competition?
Oh, blimey. Golly. Save Your Kisses for Me. Bucks Fizz. Right, hang on. I can name them. Sandy Shaw.
Yep.
Cliff Richard. Bucks Fizz. The other lot. Save All Your Kisses for Me. Because Bucks Fizz was making
Well,
your
you don't
mind
have to
up.
name them. You only have to tell me how many times.
That's four. Lulu. Five times.
5 is correct.
Thank you. Hey.
However, if I had asked you to name them, you wouldn't have got the points.
Yeah, so you're changing the blinking answer again.
No, I'm just telling you that you didn't get the right actual stars.
Oh, yeah?
Never
Who
mind.
are they then?
Well, it was Sandy Shaw, Lulu, Brotherhood of Man, Bucks Fizz, and Katrina and the Waves.
What about Cliff?
He didn't win it.
Came second.
Correct.
Right, okay. Oh, well, I still got it right, though. Ha ha.
Anyway, so you got 1 out of 6, right? Yeah, question number 7.
Yes.
Which country has come last the most times?
Norway.
Correct.
Hooray! Congratulations. Woo.
Okay, so they got 2 out of 7. Question number 8.
That's where null point came from, the famous, which has never been used, by the way. That phrase has never been used.
I can't comment on that.
No, it's never been used.
I can't say.
Yeah.
Question number 8.
Yeah.
In 2005, Javine represented the UK with this song. Javine.
Yeah.
Touch My Fire was the name of that.
Touch My Thigh?
My Fire.
Oh, My Fire, right, okay, sorry, yeah. I thought it was a bit risque.
Yeah. Now, the question is,
Yeah.
which celebrity was the runner-up in the British heats to get to that stage?
What year was it?
2005.
2005. Which celebrity was runner-up? Right, so we could have had a bigger name.
We could have had a bigger name, yes.
That sounded like Turkey's entry, by the way, that song.
Yeah, it had a bit of an Eastern flavour to it, didn't it?
Yeah, so I reckon the celebrity was 2005. I'm just thinking what was happening that year. Right, funnily enough, that was the year my heart collapsed. That's why I've only got 1/3 of a heart.
Is that right?
Yeah. That was, 2005. I reckon it was somebody like, Leo Sayer.
Incorrect.
Großbritannien 0 Punkte.
Funnily enough, it was the woman who you described as being in your office with no underwear yesterday.
What, Katie Price?
It was Katie Price.
You're joking.
It was Katie Price. She came second.
Gracious me.
She was only 1% of the vote away from actually being that.
Oh, blimey, isn't that? You thought Katie would have rung up and told me, wouldn't you? Eh?
2 out of 8. Question number 9.
Right.
Which British artist, this is why I couldn't comment before, famously achieved null point in 2003?
British artist?
Yes.
Is this the song?
Yeah.
That sounds to me like Bonnie Tyler.
Is that your answer?
Yes, it is.
Incorrect. It was Gemini from Liverpool with a song called Cry Baby.
Well, I mean, how was I supposed to know that?
Well, because it's famous for being nil point. That's what you said.
Rubbish,
it never happened.
Rubbish.
Right, you got 2 out of 9.
She would have come and gone
About them, didn't we, a while ago?
Yes. Right. Okay, time to make my mind up. I'll say the writer of that song, because it certainly wasn't the Beatles, it wasn't John Lennon or Paul McCartney. It was. The song was written by, Jackie Trent and her husband.
Incorrect.
Großbritannien 0
So who was it
Punkte.
then?
It was Bill Martin and Phil Coulter. Who became...
Well, who the hell are they?
Well, they're very, very famous British songwriters. They wrote Puppet on a String. Guess what they also wrote?
Go on.
Congratulations for Cliff Richard.
What, in 68 that
Yes,
was?
and they also,
See, did all my studying,
they
68.
they also wrote Back Home, the England football song.
Back home, we'll be waiting and watching, while
I think, isn't
ye
it?
are far away.
They also wrote Shangalang for the Bay City Rollers. Are you all right there?
Not really.
They also wrote Fancy Pants
Not singing.
for the glam rock band Kenny. They also wrote Surround Yourself with Sorrow by Cilla Black. So quite a big pair of songwriters.
Shangalang, I remember, for the Bay City Rollers.
Yeah, they wrote that as well.
Oh, excuse me.
Anyway, so I'm sorry to tell you that...
Well, we all shang-a-lang and we say it's a bang and it... Oh, well, I thought I did okay.
Yeah, 2 out of 10.
But I knew lots of stuff that you didn't ask me questions on. Lots of stuff.
Well, I don't know what you spent 6 hours revising.
I did all my
Absolutely
research.
hopeless. Absolutely unbelievable. If you can
I knew
make
that the first one was in Switzerland. I should have got a point for that.
No,
It's
you shouldn't.
ridiculous.
It's the wrong. I said city. I didn't say country.
Considering it's 60 years
I think
old,
you need to stop talking
considering
for a
it's
minute to
60
get your
years
breath
old,
back.
you should have said in which country. You should never have said which city. It's such a bizarre city anyway. Nobody's ever heard of Lugano. I thought Lugano was in Nigeria.
That's Lagos.
I did. Yeah.
Nothing like Lugano. This is Talk Sport. We are the 2 mics. More coming up. 2 out of 10.
Making your mind up.
Talk Sport.
And it's in!
A diving header at the end of a 50-yard run.
From the root to the tip.
Talk Sport.
And I will give to you summer wine. Oh, summer wine.
Strawberries, cherries, and angels kissing spring. My summer wine is really made.
This is possibly... They could have entered this for Eurovision, actually.
Well,
It's
that's a
pretty
nice
awful,
song.
isn't
What is it?
Do you like this?
Yeah, I do. It's lovely. What is it?
It's the Cause and Bono singing a song called Summer Wine.
Oh, it's really nice.
I thought you'd like it.
It's better than normal rubbish Bono puts out, I'm telling you. Seriously.
Now, how about this from Becky, who sent this in from New Zealand? Another
Right.
classic Porky quiz, a normal standard, no bucks fizz for Porky, who proves himself again to be a hashtag Muppet on a string.
No, I did loads of research. You just ask all the wrong questions all the time. You ask stupid questions which are irrelevant.
Dino.
I could have told you the history of it in the last 60 years, who won every year. I had
Right.
all that in my head.
Do you know
you
what
didn't
year,
ask me that
do you know-
once.
Do you know what year that the UK didn't enter?
We didn't enter in the very first one in 1956.
And any others?
We had a protest year, did we?
No, we had a year when we applied too late, apparently.
Oh, really? What year was
It
that?
was 58, I believe. Anyway, so I could have asked you that. You could have got that one wrong as well.
Yeah.
Dino says this. Surprised not to hear Porky answer any of the questions with Exile on Main Street this week.
Oh, yeah? Is that supposed to be funny?
Yeah, well, last week you kept saying Exile on Main Street
Yeah.
almost every question.
Yeah, well, I thought it was the answer, didn't I? Yeah.
And Roy has very carefully summed up the quiz this week.
Oh, yes.
1, wrong. 2, wrong. 3, wrong. 4, wrong.
Okay.
5,
And what
wrong.
sort of point are you trying to make
6,
here?
right. 7, right.
Yeah.
8, wrong. 9, wrong. 10, wrong.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Well, he's a very clever man.
He is
Very
clever.
clever man. Well done for coordinating and collating the rights and wrongs. Why don't you go and do something more interesting, like watch
don't
the
be
grass
nasty.
grow in your garden?
No, don't be nasty. Now, I've got a serious story to tell you about
well,
this weekend.
does this relate to Bucks Fizz?
It does in a little way, a small way, actually.
Exactly.
Apparently, you know how you told me about the Ferrero Rocher shortage a
Yes,
few months back?
yes.
Apparently, there's going to be a shortage of Prosecco.
And why is this?
Why is it? Apparently, we've just taken more and more what do you call it, product off the shelf.
Right.
That nobody had any idea how much of this stuff people would be drinking in this country.
Okay, so
and the
speak-
supply
yeah.
is not reaching to keep up with the demand.
Now, this should not bother you, because, of course, only this week, was it yesterday, you were putting out pictures of yet more bottles of champagne.
I
you
did
were
have some
consuming.
champagne the other day,
And
yeah.
how much was the bottle of that?
Actually, I was in a place not far from London Bridge, and they have a happy hour there, so it was 25 quid a bottle.
What? Champagne?
You know, yeah, in a
Where
wine
was that?
bar.
Where's
Yeah,
that?
it was Piper Heidsieck. I'm not telling you where it is.
That's amazing, because
Yeah.
I was in a place near London Bridge. In fact, it's that place that we go to sometimes at 6 a.m. in Borough Market.
Borough Market, yeah. Well, you know where we go,
Yeah.
the place by the HMS Belfast?
Yes.
Well, in that kind of Hayes Galleria,
Right.
there is a wine bar there. And they have a happy hour from sort of, I think it's 5 till 7 or
at
something like that.
25 quid?
And it's champagne 25 quid, yeah. And it's
I
decent.
wonder how
It's
they make any money on that.
It's Piper Heidsieck.
But
I think
anyway.
what they hope is that you get so bladdered that you stay on and start
Yeah.
paying 40 quid for it
Yeah.
later on.
Yeah.
But this is Prosecco, which obviously is... listen to these figures, right?
Yes.
Sales of Prosecco were up 75% in the UK last year alone, right?
Well,
we spent £1 billion on it.
$1 billion?
$1 billion.
But it's everybody's cheap alternative to
Yeah.
champagne. But you wouldn't drink Prosecco, would you?
I do drink Prosecco, yeah.
I thought you only drank champagne.
Oh, no, No, I prefer to only drink champagne.
Yes.
But I mean, if you are going to drink a fair amount of the bubbly stuff,
it's
and
very
also if it's
expensive.
very hot and Prosecco's not quite as strong, it's not quite as acidic.
Yeah,
and I'm a
I
great
can't
fan.
drink any of it.
I'm a big fan of Prosecco, right?
You've got to remember, because only 1/3 of my heart works, all that sort of stuff, that acidic Prosecco champagne, it could kill me.
Yes.
So I don't even put my lips to a glass of champagne for fear that, imminent death will strike.
Well, I've seen you drinking the odd glass.
Well, very, very odd, and only on an occasion when somebody, feels better because I'm trying to celebrate with them or something like that. But I never finish a glass.
Now, the big problem that we've got is not just because of this massive demand this year, but apparently next year there could be a problem because there was a very bad harvest, is what they're telling us from Italy, right?
Harvest of what?
The harvest of the grape that they make Prosecco from.
Well, the grapes are grapes, and if the Prosecco's going to be in short supply, so will wine be, won't it? Because all wine comes from grapes, as we all know.
Yeah, but it doesn't all come from Italy, though, whereas Prosecco tends to come from Italy. And
Pinot Grigio comes from Italy. I hope there's not going to be a shortage of that. That would be a national tragedy.
Well, you might want to start stocking up now, but apparently they'll find out in August, basically, how exactly these particular grapes have been harvested.
So this is a typical sort of scare story.
No, it's not a typical scare story. What I'm saying is that for those people,
whining noise.
For a whining noise.
I just said a whining noise.
A whining noise. I could hear a whining noise,
No.
but I mean,
I think it's your chair.
You think my chair's whining?
I think your chair's whining. I think it's under strain. Seriously.
The chair might be making a noise.
It reminded me of the noise of one of those donkey things that extract oil from the ground in Texas,
Donkey things?
Yeah, you know.
You mean an old derrick?
No, a nodding.
An oil derrick.
Yeah, an old derrick.
An old derrick.
Anyway, look, that was a very strange noise. I think your chair is literally... I heard it straining.
Yeah, really? Well, my chair seems to be fine.
Yeah.
I think you're the one that's been straining.
No.
Anyway, I was trying to give you some information that might have been helpful to you. Obviously, you've decided to shun that particular
not
piece
at
of
all.
information.
I know what you're saying, that there might be. So I say I'm not...
There's already a shortage of Prosecco in the country because of demand, right?
Yeah.
Now, what we're saying is that
it could be exacerbated.
is that it could get worse because the harvesting of the grapes is not thought to be a very good year.
But, Mike, you've got to remember, I am a first-class journalist, and you see that? Can't you hear that noise?
I
from
can't
your
hear
chair?
anything, no.
It is. Believe me, it sounds like it's bending or something.
All I can hear is you coughing and
No,
complaining and
gone.
slapping the desk.
You've got to remember, because I'm a very high-class journalist.
High class now?
Yeah, high class, yeah.
I would accept thorough.
And professional. And and I reject the maybe, could be, might be stories. And that's
what? You
why.
mean, so when you told us all that there was going to be no Ferrero Rochers in the shop for Christmas,
Yes.
and ever since then people have sent huge pictures of stacks and stacks and stacks of Ferrero Rocher, that wasn't a scare story.
I say
you just told people not to eat Mars bars
Because-
without checking to see whether somebody's injected them
No,
with
I
cyanide.
haven't. No, I haven't told anybody that. I've said if somebody sends you one in the post, then you've got to be very careful about what might have been injected into it. Okay, not if you go and buy one in a shop. You're trying to make out that I'm some sort of a nut who's going around telling people don't eat Mars bars. I'm not saying that whatsoever.
Well, you were suggesting
I'm
that
saying
they could be poisoned.
any bar of chocolate sent to you. I mentioned Bounty and other things like Fry's Turkish Delight.
Yeah.
Be very careful in case somebody's laced it with poison. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, okay.
Now, getting to this. No, I thoroughly researched things. I actually averted. Personally, one-man mission averted the Ferrero Rocher shortage.
How did you manage that, then?
By highlighting it so early on.
Oh, I see.
Because nobody knew it except me, because my man in the nut industry tipped me off.
Yeah.
That there was going to be a shortage of the hazelnuts that make Ferrero Rocher.
Yeah, right. Well,
It's hazelnuts, isn't
anyway,
it?
that is hazelnuts. I think
sure?
Originally you thought it was almonds, didn't you?
Oh, that's right, it's
I think you
hazelnuts,
got it
yeah.
wrong. It is hazelnuts, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, it turned out that there was no shortage of Ferrero Rocher, and most of your campaigns are based around things that might happen.
No, no.
Most of your fears are about things that might happen.
See, this is what we're going to have to cope with over the summer,
you've just told everybody that they should wash all their clothes so that they avoid getting, mildew and
I have,
all sorts of other kind of, nasty chemicals.
And I mean that.
Well,
I mean that sincerely.
That's a maybe could be scenario.
It's not a maybe could be. It's an absolute does happen, and you should ward against it. The sort of maybe would be's I'm talking about are things like this. And I won't say which paper it is, but Bastion is £10 million bargain buy for United. Manchester United have confirmed they want to sign German superstar Bastian Schweinsteiger. That's a could be, maybe, might be.
Yeah.
And that's what we're going to have to cope with all the way through the summer.
I know,
the
it's
could
depressing,
be,
isn't it?
maybe, might be stories, and that's all I'm saying. So
What
when you come on the air and start spouting ridiculous nonsense about world shortage of Prosecco, I'm afraid that falls into my category of could be, might be, maybe.
Right. Well, there's one thing we can be very certain about.
Oh, yeah?
Over the course
I can
of the
be
summer.
very certain
There will
about
be
the sort of
There will be no speculation.
tosh that you speak.
There will be no speculation about could be, maybe, might be about Everton signing anybody because they never do.
So we didn't sign a player for £28 million last summer then?
Oh, well, the guy that was already on loan for you.
No.
Romelu Lukaku.
That's utterly irrelevant. Did we sign him or didn't we?
Yeah, you did.
We signed him. And how much was it for? £28 million.
Yeah, which means you won't be signing anybody this year.
Not an insignificant signing in my view.
Well, who are you going to sign this year?
Personally.
Who are you going to sign
I'm
this
not
year?
at liberty, even if I knew, I'm not at liberty to divulge that information because it will alert our competitors to the players we have our eyes on. But I don't know
those
anyway.
Other sort of middle of the table.
Because I have no inside information because I am not accessible to the inner cabinet, if you see what I mean.
Yes.
I'm just a fan.
You're just a fan, yes, of course.
Right,
now, let me read you a few tweets here.
Okay.
Chris has sent this at the two mics. Please wear the pastel blue chinos at the Lowry, Porky, and give us all a good laugh. Oh. And Pete says, some effort from aircraft getting down to minus 650 degrees when the lowest temperature possible in the universe is minus 273 degrees.
Yeah, that was just an expression of a descriptive expression to indicate that goods being transported from Australia to England will almost certainly be plunged to sub-zero temperatures, and therefore does that affect the quality of the product that's being frozen?
I see.
That's all I'm saying.
And here's one from Brian.
I raise these issues because I'm a consumer expert.
Well, that's a maybe and a might be, isn't it?
No, it's not.
It's not, certainly.
It happens. Stuff that gets transported by planes freezes. It's as simple as that.
And here's one finally from Janice in Manchester who says, Mike Graham, what a plank Porky is. He said that he'd revised the Eurovision Song Contest all the way back to 1950, which would have been clever as it didn't start until 1955. Hence why it's the 60th anniversary.
I said the 50s.
I think you did too. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt.
And Janice.
Now, don't be rude to Janice.
Janice is a lovely name.
You're
It's a lovely lady. No, I'm not. Remember that pop show that used to be on? Give it 5. Her name was Janice from Birmingham.
Who?
She became a minor celebrity because she was on the judging panel and they used to play new records like the Beatles,
You're talking about Jukebox Jury.
Jukebox Jury.
That was about 1965,
I just said that. But one of the girls on the panel became a minor celebrity because when she was asked, what's the score? How many will you give it, Janice? She said, I'll give it 5. And she came from Dudley.
Yeah. I'll give you 2.
And she became famous for it.
I'll give you 2 out of 10.
Yeah.
Marvellous.
I'll give you nothing.
Thank you very much indeed.
Dunderhead.
This is Talk Sport. We are the Two Mics.
Look at the light!
Don't forget to follow the Two Mics at the Two Mics on Twitter and on YouTube. Just look for Two Mics TV.
How far does C go? Where does C go?
Where does the sea go?
Yeah.
Where does the sea go?
C goes to... this is part of the teachings.
Yeah, where does the sea go?
C goes to horizon.
Does it?
Yeah.
Is that what you think?
C go to horizon.
Yeah, it doesn't go to the horizon.
C go
It doesn't go to the horizon.
C go long. C go under sea. Yeah. Oh, yeah. All of that, yeah.
Well, once
you've
you've
all that, yeah.
once
And
you've
that empties your mind.
Yeah.
It does.
Well,
yeah.
don't come in here with an empty mind.
It would be easy to put poison in a Bounty bar because it's already wet.
If you love the Two Mics podcast, you'll love the live show. Weekday overnights from 1am on DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM and via the TalkSport app. TalkSport, your Premier League station with exclusive commentaries every weekend.
What an absolute corker!
TalkSport.